Enzo Maresca is on the hunt for more silverware as Chelsea boss at the moment. Chelsea in safe hands, but is the team? We shall find out. The Conference League triumph, by the way, merely the precursor to a tilt at the Club World Cup in the United States. The campaign begins tonight against the CONCACAF Champions League runners-up in LAFC. Kickoff coming very shortly at 8 p.m. Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto alongside Joe Shannon for you on Talksport. And you heard there some of the issues, Scott, that Chelsea have had with their number one position. The goalkeeper, of course, the senior squad listing 5 keepers at the moment. Robert Sanchez, Philip Jorgensen, Mike Penders, Gaga Slonina, and Lucas Bergstrom. The club also had, of course, that late bid to sign the France goalkeeper Mike Maignan. That was rebuffed by AC Milan before their departure to the US. And Enzo Maresca said the keeper situation's simple. Robert is the number 1, Philip's the number 2, and we will analyse and judge Penders. Maignan and different players at other clubs, I don't think it is worth talking about them, which is an interesting one, because it is a problem position that needs to be solved this summer.
No, absolutely, Hugh. I mean, you didn't mention a name there that I've been told by a former teammate of mine at Chelsea he sees as the best of the lot, and that's Georgi Petrovic, and for some reason they don't seem to fancy him. Look, I've not been a big fan of Robert Sanchez. I do feel for goalkeepers nowadays. You know, they're with the greatest of respect, they're in goal for a reason. They're big, they're strong, they're agile in many ways, but they're not always the best with their feet. And they're being asked to play like number 10s when you're really sort of the last man, where even a number 10 would feel a little bit nervous about doing that. So, look, but that's the way the modern game is, and you have to deal with it. I do think Robert Sanchez actually was much better towards the end of the season because he didn't waste it. He got rid of it. I mean, there was a thing at one time, if you remember, where Enzo Maresca had a little bit of a pop at the fans. It was the Ipswich game. It was either the first or the second goal where he ended up getting a bit booed when he sort of looked as if he wanted to play it short. And in the end, he knocked it long. It was headed back, and there was space for Ipswich to try and score, and which is what they did. Look, the bottom line is, I don't think if Chelsea want to be winning the Premier League and the Champions League and the Club World Cup, which is what they should be wanting to do, I don't think Robert Sanchez is quite good enough to do that. I would have gone for Mike Maignan. I understand that there's still, a second window which we're going to be into now, but we talked about how this competition could be treated as a pre-season. I mean, what better way for players? You ask any ex-professional footballer, or even current one as well, they'd much rather join a club at the start of pre-season rather than sort of, middle of August or something like that. So, for the sake of I don't know, it was reported to be about £5 million. When you spent 1.2 billion, what's 5 million between friends? I think you get the right person in. And that's what I would have done personally.
I got worried a few moments ago because I saw the referees come out of the tunnel. I thought they're going to kick off early here. The players are coming out. They're being announced on a one-by-one basis. They're coming out of a tunnel, WWE style. I don't know, remember the World Championships or Olympic Games when the 4x4s were coming out and they were being announced one squad at a time? It's a little bit like that. So currently there are 3 Chelsea players, now 4, on the pitch out in Atlanta, and that may take some time to get 22 out there.
Let me tell you, mate, we did the game yesterday. It kicked off about 5 minutes late.
Well, listen, and that maybe is a reason why we're looking at not too many fans in the stadium in Atlanta now.
Tiny crowd.
It is a huge stadium. It's the home of the Atlanta Falcons NFL team. Atlanta United MLS team also play there. It's a football city. Atlanta United get a great crowd in that stadium. LAFC have a very passionate fan base as well. But this game is kicking off at 3 p.m, obviously on a Monday afternoon, and maybe that has affected the crowd. But as it's one of the big teams in the competition, Joe, this might make some headlines, I think.
I would think so. As I say, tiny crowd in the context of how big the stadium is, 75,000. It looks at the moment, looking at all the empty red seats, as though the game's finished. And most of the crowd have already filtered out. It's a real shame, and you can't really blame local supporters who otherwise would have come. And you're absolutely right to point out, Hugh, that Atlanta United are the best supported team in the MLS. They've got an average attendance of over 40,000. So this could have been something really atmospheric that would have got us interested in the stadium looking ahead to the World Cup next summer, because it will be a World Cup stadium. But at the moment, the atmosphere feels really strange, really echoey and really flat.
Yeah, it does feel like a pre-season game, as we've been talking about.
I think you might get a better crowd for a pre-season match.
Well, possibly, but one thing I would say, Hugh, and you're right to bring up the fact of the fans, that yesterday it wasn't full, the game, but it was by the end of it. Now, there is a difference between a Sunday and the Monday. So can people get time off? We're not quite sure. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But yesterday didn't start off, completely full, but it certainly ended that way. Hopefully it can get like that, but I do think there's a big difference between a weekend and a weekday.
The whole Chelsea team's out there now. We're up to 4 players from LAFC during our little chat there about the crowd. So very shortly, both teams will be out there. I did want to talk to you about Chelsea's style of football, Scott, and whether it actually suits this competition. A lot of the stadia, it's going to be really high temperatures. There is a roof on the stadium in Atlanta, and maybe the temperature at pitch level isn't too bad for the players. They don't look like they're sweating buckets or anything like that. But obviously Chelsea play this really controlled style of football. At times their fans think is a little bit boring, but it may well be conducive to getting their way through this tournament.
I think it's a really good point, and it's something which Thomas Tuchel may be even looking at as well, and seeing who wins it and why, and what style of football that they do play, because in these type of conditions, it's, I know you're saying about the roof, but it's still very warm indeed, and it's still humid, and you have to keep the ball. PSG were very good in the first half yesterday, and Atletico, to be fair, they gave it a good go in the second, but were absolutely out on their feet by the end of it. And if you're going to be playing 7 games in 29 days, 28 days, then you absolutely need to, 1, rest and recover very well when you're not playing, but 2, you need to use the ball very carefully when you are. So, yeah, I think it's a really good point.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with PSG, who looked great, but obviously play that high energy, high tempo, high press kind of style, whether they can keep that going throughout this competition as well. Clearly, they've got a lot of quality. I know we mentioned the goalkeeper situation for Chelsea not too long ago. I did want to ask you about that transfer talk today. According to L'Equipe, Chelsea making contact with Lyon over a potential move for the 20-year-old Belgian winger Malik Fofana. He's a highly impressive young talent. We know that. We saw him live in the Europa League a little bit earlier on this season. But do Chelsea need more wingers at this point?
I know it sounds crazy, but I do think they do. With Jadon Sancho going back to Manchester United, with Mudryk, we're not quite sure when he's going to come back. Really, there's only the 2 wingers we've got here, Noni Madueke and Pedro Neto, and then Tyreek George, who's a very good player, but he's still learning himself. He's still a teenager. I've been very impressed with him, by the way, when he's come on and played. And he scored for Chelsea, but it's a lot to rely on when you're talking about this competition, certainly later on in it. There's talk about Jamie Gittins as well, and maybe they'll go back for them after the Club World Cup. I do think that Chelsea needs another winger, and ideally, whether it's a left footer or a inverted one, but someone who's comfortable on the left. I've been very impressed with Noni Madueke actually when he did play in the left, and I did the game for Talk against Manchester United, and I think it was Mazraoui. I mean, he went past him several times, so it was almost like an old-fashioned winger. He is capable of playing on the left. His preferred position is on the right, like Pedro Neto, so I do think they need another winger, despite them spending 1.2 billion so far.
Looking ahead to the game, which should be underway very shortly. We're past 8 o'clock, so it's not going to kick off on time. LAFC will clearly want to try and contain Chelsea's attacks, but for Chelsea, they'll want to try and control the ball, as we've mentioned as well. How do you see this first 45-minute period going?
Yeah, look, I think it might be a slow burner, as you say, because of the way that Enzo Maresca's Chelsea play. It's more almost chess-like, really, and trying to move pieces around and maybe tiring them out. And Chelsea do have a better record in the second half, but they do have to watch out. And listening to your journo there about Denny Boranga, he is a real key player. I mean, he scored over 20 goals in the past 2 seasons for them as well. It's 18-15 and scored the winning goal, of course, to take them into the group stages here as well. So he's someone they need to be very, very careful of. Reece James will come up against him, who we know when he's at his very best. I mean, I think he's world class, and I don't say those 2 words lightly. I really don't. But he's going to be, at times, he might need a little bit of help, whether it's Moises Caicedo coming over or Tosin as well. But you have to say, Chelsea need to be on the front foot here. However they play, and whether it's high intensity or not, they need to dominate this LA side, because they are by far and away, player by player, and also as a team, the better side. And let's not forget as well, they've finished the season really well. Not just in terms of finishing 4th and also winning the Europa Conference League, but they won 8 of the last 9 when arguably they had the most difficult run-in, and yet they still did really well. So they come into this game with a lot of confidence.
Chelsea out in their new kit, a huddle pitch side at the moment, all the players together, the same 2 for LAFC. Few final words and instructions from both groups of players. Cole Palmer looks at his chest. He says it is our kickoff. I don't know if he's got the message or not. The LAFC players are ready for this one as Robert Sanchez applauds all of the travelling Chelsea fans and asks the crowd to give him something, a little bit of something to hold on to. The players want the atmosphere. We want the atmosphere as well. You're listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport, presented by DAZN. You can watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and free on DAZN. You can sign up at dazn.com. Chelsea Premier League representative about to get their campaign underway. They take on LAFC. It is live and exclusive on Talksport in the company of former Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto and Talksport's Joe Shannon.
And perfectly timed as the clock literally counts down to the final second, and Los Angeles FC get the game and Chelsea's Club World Cup campaign off and underway live here on Talksport. The football never stops these days, and Chelsea have gone from European success and Champions League qualification straight into a bid to win this competition for a second time. It is a revamped Club World Cup with big financial rewards on offer for the winners. LAFC playing from right to left in the first half. The team from the MLS all in white with black socks, and Chelsea playing from left to right, all in royal blue with white socks. I remind you of the two teams in just a moment. Chelsea yet to have a touch of the ball. Ryan Hollingshead, the left back for LAFC, darts into the Chelsea half. His passes overhit Pedro Neto with the interception, and Reece James will roll the ball all the way back to goalkeeper Rob Sanchez. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Atlanta, Georgia. Very high heat and humidity, even though the stadium does have a retractable roof and a very sparse crowd, at least at this stage. The kick-off time can't have helped that. Sanchez in goal for Chelsea then. James, Tosin, Colwell and Cucurella, Caicedo and Lavia, Madueke, Palmer and Neto. Behind Jackson up front, Liam Delap is among the Chelsea subs. And the LA team, Hugo Lloris is the goalkeeper, Palencia, Long, Segura and Hollingshead, Tillman, Igor Jesus and Delgado, Ordaz and Buanga either side of Ebobisse up front. And of course, Olivier Giroud is among the substitutes for the American team. Hollingshead for LAFC again, bursting towards the edge of the Chelsea penalty area, and the shot might be on here for Nathan Ordaz. The angle is against him down the inside right. He's into the box. He pulls it back towards Delgado, who's forced wide at an angle by Lavia. Then a floated cross into the penalty area is headed away by Pedro Neto, and Cole Palmer, now wearing number 10 for Chelsea, has looked to set Jackson away inside the opening couple of minutes, but he can't get there. Goalkeeper Lloris, the former Tottenham captain, very quick off his line to hammer the ball clear. 2.5 minutes gone. Chelsea 0, Los Angeles FC 0 at the Club World Cup. And here's Scott Minto.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been a positive, confident start from LAFC, isn't it? The way they've just been passing the ball around and then look as if they're trying to get forward. Cole Palmer actually just won the ball back. It wasn't the best of passes, his first pass to Nicholas Jackson, and he would have had a one-on-one running against the back defender there if it had been a decent pass. But already it looks like two teams are going to try and play very much on the front foot, and we wondered how LAFC would play. And I think, one, it's great to watch from a neutral, but two, I think this should favour Chelsea as well.
We will have all of Chelsea's Club World Cup matches in the group stage live on the Talksport network, including the Friday night match against Flamengo next to come for Chelsea over on Talksport 2. Manchester City underway on Wednesday evening on Talksport 2 at 5 o'clock. Here is Lavia for Chelsea, midway inside the LA half. He looks for Palmer on the edge of the D, works it onto the left foot, steers it into the path of Noni Madueke at a slightly tight angle, and he didn't take the pass in his stride. Eventually he's had to dart away from goal, away from 2 or 3 white shirts, and he has got it back in the left wing position. Cucurella with a rising drive, and that's clipped miles over the top. He's had a great season in front of goal, actually, Marc Cucurella, but no close at all to troubling Hugo Lloris there. It's 0-0.
I think from a consistent point of view, he's probably only just been behind Moises Caicedo. We know how good Cole Palmer was the first half of the season, and obviously he was sensational in the Europa Conference final. But yeah, I've been so impressed with Marc Cucurella. He found himself with a little bit of space in the box, and yeah, he's trying to dink it to the far post, and he completely overhit it. But I do feel that Chelsea play the ball quickly. They can open up this LAFC side.
Levi Colwill on the ball, 10 yards shy of the halfway line at the lip of the centre circle. It's a slightly sloppy pass given away to the right fullback Palencia, and now Delgado is on the break for LAFC. He's knocked the ball down the inside right, and Nathan Oroz has played it back to the Brazilian Igor Jesus, sweeping right-footed ball crossfield towards the left-hand side, and a heavy touch from Denis Bouanga, who is in brilliant goal-scoring form, and he has been ever since he joined Los Angeles from French football. He miscontrolled, and now Chelsea are on the counter-attack. Madueke with the pace to run at the defenders. They're all backing off him. He's nudged it into the box for Jackson. Blocked off initially, but then still managed to spin, turn and shoot away from the defender Segura. And the right-footed effort, just as he was stumbling backwards, is straight at Lloris, 0-0.
I tell you what fantastic skill from Nicholas Jackson. And I'm thinking, surely you can't try and let it run across you and strike with your left foot. And he's rolled it with his right, then rolled it with his left, and he's off balance, but it's still brilliant skill to get the ball around the defender. And as he's falling, try to have the shot. He's got the shots on target, but that was brilliant feat from Jackson.
5 minutes gone on Talksport. Chelsea stateside for the Club World Cup, and basing themselves in Philadelphia, where they'll play their next 2 group stage matches. A brand new format for the competition, of course, and plenty of high-powered interest in the tournament. Scott Nice or PSG get off to a thumping win and a great start against Atletico Madrid yesterday, and I don't know whether pleasantly surprised is quite the right word to describe how we felt about the intensity of the game, but it was certainly high energy from the Champions League winners. Here is Pedro Neto for Chelsea in the right wing position, taking on the defender Hollingshead. He'll come across. It's drifted towards the corner flag. He's kept it in play in front of a number of Chelsea fans down at the base of the main stand, and then they cleared to halfway, Scott.
I don't think Atletico Madrid were pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I think they were terrified for most of the match. But it does bode well, hopefully, for most of the rest of the tournament, especially when it gets into the latter stages, as the ball is stabbed forward out of defence by Aaron Long, the captain of Los Angeles FC.
Yeah, look, I think this will be a slow burner, but I do think as we get to the knockout stages, we'll have some very good teams. I mean, look, hopefully we'll have plenty of South American sides or just teams from outside Europe as well, but I do think Europe will dominate as it gets right to the very end.
Bouanga tries to drive infield, but he can't get beyond the Chelsea skipper Reece James, and Moises Caicedo with a clever and accurate chip right to left to the far side to find Noni Madueke standing in the left back position, and Chelsea slow the tempo of the game down. Enzo Maresca standing on the edge of the technical area. There was a lot of speculation as to who would start through the middle for Chelsea tonight, and Liam Delap, I'm sure, would have been in his thinking, but the new number 9 is only on the bench.
Yeah, it's Marc Cucurella playing up front, isn't it?
It feels like it at the moment.
He's given licence to do that, and not only does he make assists, but he also scores goals, and I'm thinking about that game against Manchester United.
Given away by Tosin momentarily for Chelsea, but Romeo Lavia shows great strength and tenacity to win it back, hold off 2 or 3 in front of him, and then the balls hit the referee, who'll stop the play, and Chelsea will get the ball back. Caicedo lays it square to Levi Colwill. Yeah, can you really be inverted, as Marc Cucurella will say that he is, when he's playing as a centre-forward virtually?
He's playing up alongside Nicholas Jackson at the moment, isn't he? Which again just goes to show the licence he's given, but also that's not an easy thing to do. You know, a left-back is one thing to move into midfield, but then to move almost like a second number 10 or even like a second number 9, you need to have a bit about you. And he's not the tallest, he's not the strongest, but he's probably one of those where if an opposition fan or even opposition plays, as annoying as they come, but you want him on your side. And I've just been so impressed after what was a very difficult first season for him, where it looked like it was people were saying a £60 million flop. Well, he's certainly justifying the money now.
Yeah, the improvement has been tangible. Chelsea, who have lifted this competition on one occasion before, of course, after their famed Champions League win, the 2021 Club World Cup, which ended up being played in 2022 because of the pandemic. Toss in for Chelsea on the edge of his own penalty area, back to Rob Sanchez, all in green. Quite a leisurely pace to these early exchanges. Sanchez lofts the ball towards the halfway line. It's hooked forward by Cole Palmer, but intercepted now by Segura for LAFC. He goes back to Lloris. Many of the Chelsea players, of course, will know him well from his time at Tottenham Hotspur. Former Spurs captain, 11 seasons he spent in North London. Here comes Los Angeles FC with Sergi Palencia setting up the onrushing Delgado, whose pass is way overhead up the inside left. No way that Buanga was going to get on the end of that. And it's a goal kick to Chelsea. 10 minutes have been played on Talksport. It is Chelsea 0, Los Angeles FC 0. Whatever happens tonight, you can have your say on the sports bar once we're done. With Jason Cundy and Perry Groves. 03717 223344. Lots of Club World Cup commentaries to come over the course of this week. Into Miami and Lionel Messi against Porto. We'll bring you Real Madrid against Al Ahly on Wednesday as well. And of course Chelsea and Manchester City's group matches. Jackson shuffling back towards the halfway line for Chelsea. And now James a couple of yards infield from the right. Finds Cole Palmer in space. Palmer just nudges the ball backwards to Caicedo. It's patient so far from Chelsea, and they have to be. LAFC have got everybody in those white shirts behind the ball, but Palmer's broken between the lines. He's tackled at the last by Igor Jesus, just stuck out a leg to poke the ball away from Cole Palmer. And then the ball is held up by Eba Bisse, the central striker, who wins LAFC a free kick in the centre circle.
Yeah, if LAFC are able to get anything out of this game, then Igor Jesus is going to have to play out of his skin. You know, Cole Palmer, the way he's so football intelligent to find pockets of space, and then he only needs half a yard and he can just do whatever he wants with it. Jesus did really well there just to nick the ball off Palmer, but he'll be looking for those type of little runs, and he's able to play in Nicholas Jackson as well.
Caicedo's pinged the ball crossfield from right to left. Noni Madueke brings it down in the left wing position on the far side of the field. He's tried to dart beyond two defenders, and Palencia in the end gets the better of him with some help from his captain Aaron Long. And Palencia looks to loft the ball forward towards the halfway line. Good tenacity from Colwell to win it back for Chelsea and win a free kick. They have a big fan base in the United States, Chelsea, and there are lots of blue shirts all around the stadium tonight, albeit the upper tier is closed, and there are big gaps in the rest of the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. 75,000 it can hold at peak capacity. Now the referee needs some running repairs here. Something to do with the microphone.
Yeah, it's come loose, so it's moving around, so obviously you can't have that if you're trying to get up and down box to box like referees have to do nowadays. But it will be interesting to see just how many they say is at the stadium, and whether it does seem to fill up as the game goes on. As I say, that's what happened yesterday, and maybe the fans don't quite realise how difficult it is to get in, but these fans here should know that. As you said, they're a very well supported group, but in this stadium of 75,000, even say 25,000 looks empty, doesn't it?
It does, especially at 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. Here is Lavia for Chelsea, 10 yards shy of the halfway line. Little quick ball up to Caicedo, who steers it first time wide to the right, and Reece James. Chelsea, as you'd expect, having the vast majority of the possession so far, and they look the more creative force in these early stages. We're in the 13th minute. Neto, the number 7, back in field to James, who's taken up a position midway inside the Los Angeles half. Now Lavia into the feet of Palmer. He's about 6-7 yards from the right corner of the penalty area, but again LAFC have got everybody back behind the ball, so it's difficult for Chelsea to find the gaps. Palmer though turning on the right corner of the box. Jackson back to goal, back towards Palmer, could run for Pedro Neto. He whips in the cross. Madueke far post, couldn't get it under control. Not sure he expected it to reach him, and now LAFC are on the counter-attack, raiding down the far side there right with Nathan Ordaz. Ordaz, diminutive winger, he slowed the game down to find Eba Bisse with the bright yellow boots on, and now Delgado into the feet of Buanga. He's challenged by Reece James, and Chelsea get it back. And no threat at all to Rob Sanchez's goal so far, but that was nearly a lovely intricate move from Chelsea at the other end.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Chelsea are looking dangerous now. Cole Palmer's getting more and more on the ball. Instead of that, Noni Madueke wasn't expecting it. He should have been. He had enough time being there at the far post, and it's the second time he's been in the box, and his first touch has not been quite good enough. He's a player I really, really like. Certainly wouldn't be thinking, come on, you got to do something better. He knows that himself.
He's won it back half the pitch off Palencia, and Madueke straight on the counter, drives into the penalty area, pulls it across towards Palmer. He couldn't get there, and neither could Nicholas Jackson at the near post. Lovely work from Noni Madueke, driving forward, and the pace was way too much for the fullback, formerly of Barcelona, Palencia. But Jackson and Palmer couldn't quite time the run, Scott Minter.
No, but that's what he can do. He's quite happy being on the left. You know, the modern-day winger now seems to want to be inverted and come inside all the time. I'll go back to the game against Manchester United, and not the only one towards the end of the season. It was almost like a real old-fashioned winger, sort of just trying to do a little bit of a body swerve and then go down the outside. And with his pace, he got the cross in there, just unfortunately didn't get a Chelsea player in the box.
Madueke's the outlet again here on the inside left channel. Back to Caicedo in a more central area now. Tosin is 35-40 yards from goal. I think he thought about a shot there, and he can hit them from range, as we saw across the course of the regular domestic season. Tosin, Reece James with a high crossfield ball, swinging right to left, out to the far side, and Madueke again. Chelsea playing from left to right in the first half. Quarter of an hour gone, and it is 0-0 against Los Angeles FC in Chelsea's first game of this Club World Cup. And we've got the latest England game at the Under-21s Euros on Wednesday night here on Talksport. England against Germany in what is an important game for Lee Carsley's team after their goalless draw yesterday. 4 points from their first two group matches. And of course, once the tournament starts in Switzerland, the Women's Euros this summer, we will have every Lionesses game live here on Talksport as well. Lavia, right edge of the centre circle to Caicedo, and a little square ball to the feet of Reece James. It's 0-0 in Atlanta, and Reece James has overhit that pass, and it's through to Lloris.
Yeah, you're right to say Tosin has scored before. He didn't get two against Morecambe in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And certainly one was an absolute screamer.
A rocket.
Yeah. But I talked about the battle there of Reece James and Denny Boanga. And at this moment in time, from a defensive point of view, Reece James has defended really well against him. They're not able to get him into the game at all, LAFC. But just going forward there, he's better than that. He's played a pass forward and just kind of given it away when he didn't have anything to worry about in terms of someone trying to close him down. So it's been a decent start. I think it's been a decent start from both sides. LAFC will certainly be happy that they haven't conceded yet, but I do think it's been a pretty good start from Chelsea too, without scoring.
Boanga, who you mentioned, is certainly the main threat for LAFC. Averages more than a goal every other game for LA since joining. But Jackson for Chelsea has fed Madueke in the box. Good save by Lloris. Palmer on the rebound is denied by the block. Good save by Hugo Lloris with his leg to turn away the angled drive, and it stays 0-0 as Caicedo and Ordaz go head-to-head. Midway inside the LA half, the referee stopped the game and given LAFC a free kick. Lovely footwork by Jackson in the build-up, and Madueke from the angle is denied by the former Spurs captain.
Yes, that's why I'm loath to criticise Nicholas Jackson. He can do so much. And obviously the most important thing for a striker is sticking the ball in the back of the net, and while his numbers aren't bad, they could and should be a lot better, but he's got really good feet. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, tidy feet as well. The way he was able to play in Noni Madueke there, who effectively had to shoot. Pedro Neto at the far post there was wanting the ball to be cut across, but you shoot in that situation, he just side-footed it really towards Hugo Lloris rather than pinging it for the far post.
Well, the referee, I think, was in conversation with the VAR about something momentarily there, but whatever the check was about, it's over really as quickly as it started. Here is Mark Delgado for LAFC on the halfway line to find Hollingshead, infield from the left side position, and then it's given away by Ebobisse straight to Madueke, and now Jackson, who in tandem look Chelsea's best threats in the game so far. 18 minutes gone and it's still 0-0, but it is all Chelsea, really.
It is now, without a doubt. Just interesting, the question's been asked, can Delap and Jackson play in the same team together? Well, they won't be playing as two strikers because that's not what Enzo Maresca does, but Jackson could possibly play on the left. He did that for Villarreal. I personally think he is a striker now, and it's one or the other, and there'll be enough games for both players to have a big say in Chelsea's season, but And it will be interesting once the season starts and everybody's kind of into the flow and the big games come, who Maresca chooses.
Well, he can't afford the sort of barren run that he had in front of goal last season, you feel, Nicholas Jackson, in the middle third of the campaign. Liam Delap, having scored 12 goals in the Premier League last year for Ipswich Town, who went on to be relegated. He's got the number 9 shirt, which maybe adds something to the level of expectation. I don't know whether that matters anymore, really, Scott Minto.
I think it just depends on the individual. I mean, there have been some massive names wearing the number 9 shirt and certainly playing up front for Chelsea that have just, for whatever reason, have not lived up to what their reputation has been. But I love the fact he doesn't care. Bring it on.
Pedro Neto with a left-footed in-swinging cross, cleared away by Palencia on the volley, drops to Caicedo, central area, long way out. He tees up Palmer for a left-footed curler, and that's landed on the roof of the net. It dipped just a little too late, but you could see what Chelsea's main man had in his mind.
He just loves that kind of centre-right, doesn't he, of being in that position, and it's close to the edge of the box. He takes the first touch out of his feet within that first touch. And he's trying to get it round a couple of players and then up and dipping past the goalkeeper. Very difficult shot to do.
It looked like, to me, that took a deflection off Igor Jesus, and the corner has been given. First corner of the game so far, 20 minutes in. Chelsea 0, Los Angeles FC 0 at the Club World Cup. You're listening to Talksport. Corners taken short by Neto to Palmer, back to Caicedo. LAFC defending stoutly so far as Neto's cross is turned away by Ordaz. Neto will take the throw, goes back to Caicedo. Caicedo midway inside LAFC territory, and Tosin has stayed forward, as has Cucurella, down the inside left to try and dink in the cross, and that takes a deflection this time. Again off Igor Jesus. He's calling for more from the Los Angeles fans behind the goal to the right. It is another corner for Chelsea. And again they take it short. Neto to Madueke on the dead ball line. Back to Palmer, who seems to have plenty of space down that inside left again. Reece James with a shooting chance. Big deflection on it as it's turned away by Long. Not sure how much he knew about it. Cucurella's touch then is heavy down the right wing, and that'll be a throw to LAFC by their own corner flag. But the way the game is poised at the moment, Scott, Chelsea are going to score. It's just a question of when, not if.
Well, at this moment in time, and it might be one of those games where the first goal was the most difficult, when it starts to open up once they do get that. They haven't got it at the moment. They need to be careful from a defensive point of view, but there's no doubt about it. Chelsea are dominating now, and Reece James getting that touch, and you can see quite excited, didn't he? He played it a little bit too far ahead of himself, 2 or 3 yards, but still managed to get the strike in. In the end, it was a decent block from the LAFC defender.
Yeah, played here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium twice before Chelsea as part of their pre-season tours last year and in 2023. Madueke accelerates infield from the left, and he's blocked off by the stout fullback Palencia. And good feet by Timmy Tillman, the American international, to thread the ball up to halfway. But Cucurella read it well, and Chelsea have got it back. Cucurella out on the left with the long curly hair. He's slowed the play down now to walking pace. Back it goes to Caicedo. Will he be happy with the tempo, Enzo Maresca?
Yeah.
I think he will.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be happy. You know, Chelsea are playing well at the moment. They've created some sort of half chances without being major chances, but you know, this is what Maresca's side do. They try and tire teams out, and they come on strong in the second half.
Here they come on the counter-attack. LAFC, it's Ordaz, right corner of the penalty area with a poor ball. James makes the interception. The pass was behind the run of Jeremy Ebabise, who'd gone early, and now Ordaz has stumbled. He's totally out of position. And Chelsea look to have numbers forward on the counter there, but again, Cucurella has slowed it down. And this isn't really quite even the peak heat of the day in Atlanta, but it is still very hot, even at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, as LA come forward again down the near side, the left. It's with Hollingshead, the fullback, infield to the feet of Bouanga, and he's clattered into by Caicedo. That's a foul right in front of the referee. Free kick to LAFC in the middle of the Chelsea half, and despite Caicedo's protests and Palmer joining him, the referee, Jesus Saez, is adamant.
Yeah, look, he's a brilliant player, isn't he? And he has been Chelsea's best player, most consistent player over the season, but he is liable for that kind of, he gets the ball, but gets the man as well. And there was a foul.
He wasn't booked, but he has picked up 16 yellow cards over 24-25 for club and country.
I bet he picks up another one at some point in this tournament.
We will see. Chelsea hoping, of course, they go all the way to the end, and you could potentially get about £97 million, the winner, for winning the whole thing and winning all of your matches in the process.
Is your FIFA doing this as well?
24 gone, 0-0. Dinked in the free kick by Bouanga and easy for Sanchez. It was nowhere near any of Bouanga's teammates. Then a poor throw by Sanchez. Too long. Overarm, over the halfway line and beyond Madueke and Sancho Jackson as well. And Sanchez has seen his clearance charged down inside the penalty area, but he has been able to pick up the loose ball and he can start another attack. Balls the ball out underarm to Reece James, and Chelsea have it with Cole Palmer again just shy of the halfway line. Chelsea dominant in possession. They've had the best chance of the game so far. Noni Madueke denied by Hugo Lloris, but it is still goalless in Georgia.
Yeah, with the ball, Chelsea are three at the back. It's Reece James, Tosin and Colwill. There's still Lavia and Moises Caicedo who are kind of midfield, but Marco Correa is pushing right on, sometimes alongside Cole Palmer, sometimes even alongside Nicholas Jackson, with the two wide players. They're clearly trying to make the pitch as big as possible in LA's half.
Lavia steers the ball square to the left-hand side, and Colwill, quick pass forward 10 yards to Cucurella. Further wide out on the far side is Madueke, waited for the underlapping run of Cucurella and stabbed the ball forward, but Tillman was there on the cover to clear it away for LA. And now Palencia driving up towards the halfway line. It's held up by Ebobisse, who can barely get a touch on the ball, the front man. Robbed of possession this time by a combination of Colwill and Caicedo initially. And Chelsea go back to goalkeeper Sanchez. It could be a long night, you feel, for Jeremy Ebobisse, or a long afternoon here in Atlanta.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think Tosin's a really good player. I like Trevor Chalobah. He's improved so much, but it is interesting. It looks like it's Levi Colwill +1, and the way that Tosin gets so tight to attacking players, you know, he brings Moises Caicedo into the game by being tight, and therefore Caicedo just nicked the ball off the striker there, and Chelsea are able to get the ball back. They're absolutely dominating, and even when LA have the ball, they don't keep it for very long.
Well, they have numerous options at that centre-half position, do Chelsea, including the new signing Mamadou Sarr, who is among the Chelsea subs today. 19 years of age, the now former Strasbourg player. A free kick to LAFC just shy of the halfway line. Foul by Tosin this time on Ebobisse. And LA, understandably, are slowing the game down. This is their first ever Club World Cup match, and they're right in the middle of the MLS season, where they're in good form, unbeaten in their last 10 matches across all competitions. There's been a delay to the taking of that free kick, and LA have immediately given it away. So Chelsea have it back again, and I don't think the frustration is growing for the Chelsea players, but the expectation is growing that eventually they will score.
Yeah, look, they've been taught to be patient.
Over the top it goes towards Palmer down the middle, but it takes one bounce and Lloris is out quickly to claim it.
And sometimes, but it doesn't happen very often. Great run like that with Cole Palmer. That sort of forward 30-yard ball was on. It was worth a go, but generally speaking, it is a pass, and we'll try and just stretch you and tire you out, move you pieces on the board. And, you know, as I say, it's 0-0, and from a scoreline point of view, I think LA will be very, very happy indeed. But you know, this is not unlike Maresca's Chelsea to be in this position, and yet in the second half, and certainly by the end of the game, they've found themselves to go on and win the game, and quite often pretty comfortably as well. And I imagine that would happen tonight.
We will bring you Manchester City's first game of the Club World Cup against Wydad Casablanca over on Talksport 2 at 5 o'clock, and that is followed on Talksport 2 by Real Madrid against Al Hilal. 8 o'clock on Talksport on Wednesday, England's under-21s against Germany. Cole Palmer on the edge of the D, wide to Pedro Neto, inside the penalty area. Lovely reverse ball in, left-footed towards Cucurella. Good header away inside the penalty area. And Neto has juggled the ball away from the on-rushing Bouanga and has won it back for Chelsea. Down the near side the right. He drives beyond Bouanga, leaves him trailing in his wake. Neto's in swinging cross deep to the back post this time. Madueke was up there but could only nod it wide of target.
Well, Palencia's actually playing quite well against Madueke. I mean, there's been times where Madueke's gone past him, but again, from a fullback's point of view, even when you know you can't quite get it, you get enough contact on your winger to make sure that he's not able to head the ball back in, and that's exactly what happened there. I personally would have liked Noni to have been really aggressive and come through him and headed it back across the 6-yard box, but look, it's been a very much an Enzo Maresca performance, isn't it? This is exactly what you expect and how he sort of plays. Let's see if LA can keep this up.
Are any concerns about the style of play now gone, given what Chelsea achieved last season?
No, I think there'll still be a lot of Chelsea fans, and it was interesting, I was listening to sort of phone-ins and on Talksport, there was still a lot of Chelsea fans kind of saying, no, if we start poorly next season, I'm going to be on Maresca, which I think is a little bit harsh. And look, I just want Chelsea to be in a situation where
Cole Palmer up the middle, 25 yards out, nudges it left to Madueke. Left corner of the penalty area, shuffles back in field onto the right side, and he's had to play it square to Lavia. Now Caicedo thinks about taking aim from about 30 yards out. Palmer with the square ball to Cucurella. Good work from Los Angeles FC. They've got everybody again back behind the ball quite effectively there, just as it looks as though Chelsea might be on the break, and Chelsea have actually had to go all the way back to the centre circle now.
Yeah, I just don't want Chelsea to go to really sacking their managers all the time. And people will say, well, that happened under Roman Abramovich, but he gave his managers world-class players and a world-class squad. And it's like, well, if you don't win it with this team, when you're going to go? You know, this Chelsea of the last 3 years, there haven't been many world-class players, and just want a manager given, any manager. I wanted Pochettino really to be given time to develop, and I thought he had kind of cracked it, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, certainly in this tournament and then the start of next season. But I'm telling you now, because of this tournament and combining the Champions League and the Premier League, which obviously is a different level between the Europa Conference League and the Premier League, I think it's going to be very difficult.
Half an hour gone, Chelsea 0, LAFC 0 in Chelsea's first game in this competition. The best way to be across all the Club World Cup action, the Under-21 Euros and the Women's Euros in Switzerland this summer. Will have all the Lionesses games and Wales matches as well, is to download the Talksport app, and you can swipe between both stations at your leisure, and you can swipe across all of our stations, including Times Radio, Talk and Virgin Radio 2. Plus you can watch live shows as they happen on the app as well. High ball down the middle for LAFC is easy for Sanchez to gather on the edge of his penalty area. Been a virtual spectator so far, Robert Sanchez. Jorgensen is the substitute goalkeeper tonight, by the way, for Chelsea. Mike Penders and Gaga Slanina have travelled with the Chelsea squad, the two youngsters. But it will be fascinating to see if Chelsea do sign a new goalkeeper at some stage before the start of the 2025-26 season.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. As I say, I've been critical of Robert Sanchez, and I don't feel comfortable saying that, but I do think he's just said to Enzo Maresca, listen, I'm not going to pass it out, I'm going to kick it when I have to, and because of that, he and the team look a lot more solid defensively.
Palmer plays a crossfield ball right to left out to the far side, and Madueke into the last 13 minutes of normal time at the end of the first half as Chelsea look for the game's first goal. Madueke with another driving run. He sets up Lavia about 2 yards from the edge of the D. Lavia faced up by a sea of white shirts. One of them is Igor Jesus, who gets a good tackle in, and LA trying to force Chelsea to go wide at every opportunity, crowding the middle of the pitch, and Palmer has been careless with that pass up the middle, intercepted, and now Bouanga on halfway for LAFC. It's got a little bit busier in the stands, but the stadium's still pretty sparsely populated, and it is, credit to the American team, still 0-0 as they look to burst forward now on the inside right with Tillman. Tillman to the far side, and Palencia, who plays it back in field. Now the ball's at the feet of Igor Jesus. Forward to Ebobisse. Ebobisse gets it wide out to the right-hand side in Ordaz, but they're suddenly at walking pace here, LAFC, with no momentum in the attack whatsoever.
No, but I mean, look, the first 15-20 minutes, I thought Chelsea, even though obviously they didn't score, they seemed very positive and were playing with quite a high intensity. The last 10 minutes or so, that's not been the case. They need to step it up again like they did early on.
Good work by Palmer to win it back and feed Jackson on halfway. He holds it up brilliantly and plays a lovely through ball to Pedro Neto in the area from the right. Checks back onto his left foot and finds the bottom corner. It's a beautifully worked Chelsea goal. What a ball by Nicholas Jackson, and what composure from Pedro Neto. Danced beyond the defender, left him on the floor, rattled it beyond Lloris, and Chelsea lead by a goal to nil.
And look, I was just saying, they just got to step it up a little bit more. Certainly don't be afraid to play that ball in behind. I mean, it's perfect, really, isn't it? Because LA have got the ball and they've lost it. Nicholas Jackson again. I'm going to say he was absolutely brilliant play. He's come inside, he's played the ball in behind. It was a tight offside rule, and I'm sure the VAR will be looking at it. But it's exactly what Pedro Neto wants. Brilliant centre-forward play. He's on his right foot. And really, defenders just got to let him shoot, not let him come inside, because once he comes inside, not only is he on his best foot, but he's also opening the goal up. Still needs to be very composed and get it out of his feet very quickly as the defenders and the goalkeeper come down on him, and he's slipping as he strikes. But still, from a defensive point of view, just let him shoot on his right foot. You trust the goalkeeper will save it there, but brilliant play from Nicholas Jackson, brilliant play from Pedro Neto.
Well, Jackson showing exactly what he can offer in that central role for Chelsea. A source of assists as well as goals. And Pedro Neto has put Chelsea in front. They do have semi-automated offside in use here at the Club World Cup in the United States over this summer. And the goal is confirmed. Neto was onside, and Chelsea are in front, and they deserve to be. Here come LA on the break straight from kickoff with Bouanga, and he was fouled by the retreating Reece James, who gets the yellow card. James was beaten for pace there. Bouanga very nearly getting in behind, and he's sent sprawling by the Chelsea skipper, who gets the game's first booking.
Well, we talked about him at the start of the game, and really he is their danger man. He hasn't been involved very much, but it's the one time where the ball in behind was a good one, and it was a really good race, which James has got to realise he's not going to get there. Perhaps there's a little bit of sort of tiredness in him there. Just diving in, he didn't need to. Not only is he giving away a foul, but got that yellow card. But it is ironic, isn't it? We're just saying about how actually Chelsea haven't been brilliant in the previous 10 or so minutes. And you can see LA were coming out and haven't been quite happy on the ball. And suddenly they lost the ball. And because they weren't set, that ball in behind was there for Nicholas Jackson to put in Pedro Neto.
Well, I'm not sure if there's a problem for Ordaz here, the LA winger. He's in conversation with the referee. There's a delay for some reason. The LA free kick, by the way, is about a yard from the dead ball line and 6-7 yards infield from the corner flag. And Ordaz is going to need some kind of treatment here. Yeah. He's going to need a new shirt, maybe?
No, I think he's feeling a little bit dizzy. I don't quite know what happened, but see the way the referee was talking to the physios there, it was almost like he... Yeah, it must have been some kind of challenge, whether it was a head challenge or he fell to the ground, but he doesn't look right.
It's very hot and humid. We did have cooling breaks in the game in California at the Rose Bowl yesterday, but that's a completely open arena with no roof whatsoever. But it's Chelsea who lead 1-0, live on Talksport through Pedro Neto. And whatever happens tonight for the rest of the game, you can have your say on 03717 223344, the sports bar, once we're done with Jason Cundy and Perry Groves in the chair. Chelsea against Arsenal for the sports bar later.
Jason will be loving this, won't he?
He will. He
won't rub it into Perry at all that
not
Arsenal won in the competition. Surely not.
Off goes Ordaz to the near side touchline, and hopefully he can come back on. But LA will be temporarily down to 10 as they take this free kick. They've not threatened Sanchez's goal really at all in the first 37.5 minutes. Bouanga whips in the delivery, and Sanchez gets a palm on it to turn it over the top for a corner. Was he deliberately going for goal there, Bouanga? It was an almost impossible angle.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to whip it in as much as possible to the far post and see what happens. If it curls in, no one touches it. Brilliant. If one of his teammates get a touch, brilliant. If a defender gets the touch and it goes the wrong way, brilliant. So just whip it in there. And certainly Sanchez didn't look comfortable with it, did he?
I'm not sure whether it was going in or not. Corner to LA. Their first of the game is taken short to Delgado. Then back out to the taker, Bouanga, who whips it into the near post. Levi Colwell's there to clear it away for Chelsea. LA look like they have made a substitution, by the way. Ordaz doesn't seem to have come back onto the pitch. And David Martinez, a 19-year-old forward, has now come on. So LAFC 1-0 down, and it looks as though they have been forced into a change. And Chelsea thought they'd won it back high up the pitch there through Lavia, who is disappointed, to say the least, that the free kick's been given against him. And the vast majority of the crowd, the Chelsea supporters, are disappointed as well.
Well, just seeing, the referee's got the camera, haven't they?
They do.
The ref camera, seeing that on the monitor. It did look as if it was a foul with Lavia going in behind, but if they had timed that right, then Chelsea would have been in the game, wouldn't they?
Ordaz, by the way, has gone off with suspected concussion. That's why Martinez has come on. Quick throw for LA, down the inside left. Across comes James at the vital moment to get it away from Bouanga. And Bouanga, in that tussle with James, has sent him to ground this time in something of a role reversal, and Chelsea get a free kick in the right back position. Chelsea 1, Los Angeles 0. And you're listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up at DAZN.com. Cucurella in field from the left back position for Chelsea. Now Lavia carries the ball up and into opposition territory. He's angled it wide to the goal scorer Pedro Neto. Infield from the right, plays it back to Palmer. And Chelsea now can be even more patient now that they have the half-time advantage, or it looks like they're going to have the half-time advantage. 5 minutes of the first half remain, plus any added time. And Tillman has lost out to Caicedo. Close to goal. Caicedo has poked it back to Lavia. Midway inside LA territory. Forward to Cole Palmer between the lines. He shoots right-footed from the edge of the box, and it's well blocked. Now Neto. Right wing position, taking on the defender Hollingshead. He's rolled it back to James, and James slows it down to Lavia. Forward to Palmer, edge of the area, blocked off, comes back to Neto, dinks it over the top of the defender towards Palmer again. Segura gets a tackle in this time, but might only be a temporary reprieve for LAFC, who've struggled to keep any sort of possession. They have counter-attacked effectively here. Hollingshead has knocked the ball wide to the substitute Martinez, and suddenly Cucurella is isolated in a 2v1, and Palencia's crossed to Bouanga at the back post. He heads it back across goal. Ebobisse can't get there, and Chelsea will smuggle it away. And in the end they get a free kick for a foul by Martinez on Lavia. But that was the only time really in the first half so far, Scott Minto, that Chelsea have looked a bit unconvincing defensively.
Yeah, I agree, and it was actually really good play from LA there, and getting in behind Marc Cucurella and then whipping in the cross first time. It was just a little bit overhit, but Bouanga did well to head it back in. Ebobisse slipped, and again, I'll talk about Tosin. He's done it half a dozen occasions here. He gets so tight to the centre forward that because he slipped Ebobisse, he was able to get in there, Tosin, and just make sure that we're able to clear the ball, and in the end it was a foul on Lavia. I love the way he defends Tosin.
And he really has proven his versatility for Chelsea across this first season that he's had since joining from Fulham. I think there were one or two eyebrows raised maybe by the signing, but certainly a regular in the Conference League from the start in particular, and plenty of Premier League appearances as well. Yeah,
and I think he's grown into the Chelsea team, hasn't he, really? I mean, he was trusted obviously with the Europa Conference final as well. I mean, a free transfer is a bit of a no-brainer, but I still want that kind of really experienced centre-half, and yet, is he 27 now? He's the most experienced player in the side.
And Jackson, yeah, he's a positive veteran by Chelsea standards, as the defender Segura pokes the ball out of play. Chelsea get the throw right by the corner flag. Nicholas Jackson has played his part, setting up Pedro Neto for the only goal so far. Live on Talksport, Chelsea in Atlanta to face Los Angeles, and they are 1-0 up in their first group game, the newly revamped competition, with a couple more matches to come, including their next game against Flamengo in Philadelphia. Live over on Talksport 2 on Friday night with myself and Scott. Neto will take the throw short to Jackson, right down by the dead ball line. He's sandwiching between two white shirts, and the throw goes the way of LAFC. In fairness to the crowd numbers, I think it has got busier since the game kicked off, and I mean, you can't blame locals for not being able to get here, given it's mid-afternoon on a Monday.
Well, I was going to say, being here certainly beats being in an office on a Monday afternoon, but maybe a lot of people can't get out of the office.
A lot of Chelsea shirts on show here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The ball is on the halfway line. Colwill back to Tosin now. 90 seconds of the first half remain. Tosin hoists the ball down the right, header away by Hollingshead from the left-back area for Los Angeles, close to where the dugout is. The ball is nodded down by Tosin to Caicedo inside the centre circle, and now Colwill again. Colwill back to Tosin. Colwill has scored the vital winner against Nottingham Forest on the final day of the Premier League season, and that already feels a while ago, but the next Premier League season is less than 100 days away already, so
that's going to come quick, Joe.
It is. And of course, as you'd expect, the Talksport network, the place to be next season for the Premier League football. Cole Palmer accelerates down the inside right for Chelsea. LA have got plenty back behind the ball again, but here is Pedro Neto towards the corner of the penalty area. Back to Palmer with a left-footed shot. That one's blocked. He's really sizing up these opportunities, Palmer. He fancies a goal today. That one was turned away by Segura before it could reach Lloris. Last 30 seconds of the final minute of normal time at the end of the first period. And Chelsea have been virtually completely dominant. You couldn't really make any sort of case for LAFC from an attacking perspective, although they have defended with great spirit.
Yeah, they have. They're still in the game.
Buanga has looked for Ebobisse down the middle. Tosin seemed to stumble, went through the back of him, and now he will get a yellow card. So that is two of the Chelsea back four on a booking.
You just need to be careful not to give away silly tackles. One right on half-time, and two getting a yellow card, because then you're one tackle away from obviously going down to 10 men, and that's not an easy thing to do when you're only 1-0 up. You know, Chelsea want to first of all get into half-time with this lead, get that second goal, and you do feel 2-0 would kill off this LA side, but all the while it's 1-0. They're very much in the game.
90 seconds of 2 minutes added officially remain, but of course the play hasn't got back underway since the fourth official put the board up. So a couple of minutes to go here for Chelsea in the first half, 1-0 up, and Buanga is standing over the free kick here for LAFC. It's pretty central and a long way out. Nothing really on here for Buanga unless he can try and whip a ball in towards the left edge of the penalty area. That's exactly what he's done, and free at the back post was Hollingshead, and the touch from Ebobisse is deflected behind for a corner. Or is it? Is there an offside?
I just wonder whether Ebobisse could have let it come across and tried to volley it, but I think he was the one who was just got on the wrong side, and he shouldn't be. He's got to be looking along the line. Whoever was offside has got to be looking along the line. It's a free kick. Basic stuff.
I think it was Ebobisse. Hollingshead could have been offside as well. And Chelsea do get a free kick. And Robert Sanchez, who has had nothing to do in the game of any real note. 30 seconds of added time at the end of the first half to go.
But he's also been error-free, which has not always been the case this season. And he's had times where he's had pressure coming, down on him, and he's just got rid of it. And look, if you can pass it out, brilliant. But if you're really under pressure, just get rid of it.
Jackson for Chelsea's held it up well. He's set up Madueke. Left edge of the penalty area. Madueke taking on the defender Palencia. Goes on the outside. Can he whip the cross in? It takes a deflection off Palencia. Could reach Neto at the back post. He's going to be in a foot race here to keep the ball in play on the opposite wing. We've had the 2 minutes of first half added time. 1-0 to Chelsea. Neto tries to raid infield, and this time he's blocked off on the edge of the box, and the referee has blown the whistle for half-time. It is Pedro Neto who has scored the game's only goal so far. A real moment of quality, not just with the finish, but from the ball in the build-up. Nicholas Jackson showing that he's still got a lot to offer for Chelsea with the wonderful slide rule pass into Neto's path. He did the rest, and actually as we see the two teams, some of them starting to head for the tunnel, but there was certainly an argument going on involving Buanga of Los Angeles, and Reece James got involved, and a slightly surly end to the first half from an LA perspective, but Chelsea do have the advantage, and they are 45 minutes away from a winning start at the Club World Cup. Chelsea 1, LAFC 0.
Well, it's clearly not being directed by Brits, is it? As soon as a melee comes together at the end of the half, they go to the advert breaks. What on earth is going on? That was more action than we've seen from the LAFC players for the whole first 45 minutes. Anyway, it looks like tempers are fraying just a little bit. But listen, it's very hot evening. And the LAFC players, let's be frank, have had to chase the ball for the entire first half. Scott, just looking at the stats, Chelsea have had 66% possession, 9 shots, just 3 on target, 1 shot, 1 on target for LAFC. But as we saw throughout that first half, it was really all Chelsea. The main change came actually when they just began to quicken things up. The pace went up after around 20 or 25 minutes before the goal came. And when Chelsea play at that just slightly higher level, we're talking about third, fourth gear they may be pushing themselves into, there's no way LAFC can live with them.
No, I mean, look, the goal came from, it was actually just a few minutes before. I was saying that Chelsea do need to step it up, and like they were just a little bit before that. But I think it was because LA had a little bit more confidence that they were going forward with the ball and were not ready for that, for losing it and on the transition. And look, we talked about the way that Enzo Maresca likes his Chelsea players or his team to play almost chess-like, but you've got to have a plan B or a different layer to yourself. And, you know, that kind of, okay, we'll nick the ball off you, and then suddenly you've got this high line that you're very vulnerable for when you've got the pace of Madueke on one side and Pedro Neto on the other. And I have to say, it was brilliant forward play from Nicholas Jackson. It really was. Getting the ball out, great little couple of little touches, and then a perfectly weighted pass for Pedro Neto to run in behind. And then once you're in behind, and I can tell you, Hugh, I've only been there once or twice in my career up against a really quick winger when you're chasing him. You don't want to be in that position at all. Shouldn't have allowed him to come inside, almost just let him shoot on his right and trust that the goalkeeper will make the save because he's on his right foot, that the angle's very, very tight. But once he does come inside, you know, suddenly you're seeing the whole of the goal. He's on his left foot, and that was a really good finish in the end.
Once they got that goal, you felt there was a much higher comfort level from the Chelsea players, some of whom are starting to enjoy themselves out there, despite it only being 1 goal in terms of the scoreline. I'd say it was professional, but like I say, the quality is beginning to show more and more. There's going to be a decision for Enzo Maresca to make in terms of how he manages the workload now for this second half, because Chelsea are very dominant. Do you expect changes at the break?
I don't expect changes at half-time. I definitely expect changes at some point in the second half, and I'm sure he would have said that. Look, first game, 60, 75 minutes for, you know, a lot of them, and I'm sure he'll make all the substitutions. But the scoreline is only 1-0, so they've got to be careful about sort of fragmenting the side and it looking disjointed at the start of the second half or at some point in the second half. He'll be wanting that second goal, and then that kind of kills the game off. I don't see them coming back from 2-0 down, but all the while it's 1-0. You know, a goal from somewhere, a mistake from somewhere, a set piece, switching off, it can easily happen. So I think he'll keep the same side. You know, it wasn't that bad as it was against Real Betis in the final, was it? Where he had to make changes and bring on the likes of Reece James. I think Chelsea are looking pretty comfortable at the moment, but absolutely, I expect all 5 substitutions to be made at some point in the second half.
A couple of yellow cards maybe might change his thinking. That's the only thing really. Reece James picking up a yellow, Tosin picking up a yellow as well. So we'll see whether he thinks, let me just get them out early so we don't risk any level of suspension. I would have hoped to see a little bit more from LAFC, to be perfectly honest. I mean, this is an MLS side, and I get it. The Premier League's the strongest league in the world. Chelsea are a very strong side. They spend billions of pounds, more than anyone else in Europe, over the last few seasons. We should expect them to be comfortable, but at the same time, this is a game that's taking place in the United States. There's a lot of LAFC fans in there. We can hear them making some noise. I don't know, I expected just to see a little bit more of a game plan from them that would have, I guess, produced a little bit more, particularly at the other end of the pitch. Yeah, look,
they are unbeaten in 10, and they've scored at least 2 in each of those games, but at the same time, they're 9 points off Vancouver Whitecaps in the Western Conference League. They won't play any of the 3 games in LA, even though they are in the States. So, when you've got your home fans behind you, that does make a big difference. And don't forget as well, they're only in the competition because the Mexican side, Leon, was expelled due to FIFA's multi-club ownership rules. So I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing, really. We have seen Denny Boanga, probably their most dangerous player, and at times, trying to get in behind. And Reece James, you're right to mention the yellow card. I'm not quite sure I trust anyone on the bench to play right back while it's 1-0 at the moment. I think he's experienced enough to deal with that despite being on a yellow card. But Borango has shown that he is probably their best player. Eba Bise, I want to see more from him. Well, I don't want to see more from him. You know what I mean?
The game needs more. The neutrals need more from him.
LA needs more from him. But I mentioned it a couple of times. Tosin's gotten so tight that when he's dropping off, by the time he takes his touch, he's bringing Moises Caicedo into play. So it's really good play from Tosin. And alongside, you got Levi Colwill just sweeping up when he needs to. So from a defensive point of view, Chelsea look very comfortable. The only issue you would have is Chelsea feeling too comfortable and therefore switching off.
Okay, big second half on the way. While it's still just one goal, that goal scored by Pedro Neto, all still to play for in this game. No big victory as yet coming for Chelsea, but they are on their way to an important 3 points to start their Club World Cup campaign. We'll be back with Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto and Joe Shannon very, very shortly, but you are listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport, presented by DAZN. You can watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. You can sign up at DAZN.com. At halftime in a hot and humid Atlanta, it is Chelsea 1, Los Angeles FC 0.
Tally-ho, it's time for top hats, tails and tip-top racing. It's Royal Ascot this week and Talksport Bet is offering our best odds guarantee. Place a bet on the day between 9 a.m. and the start of the race on any horse and we'll pay out the starting price on winners if it was greater than when the race began. And that's straight from the horse's mouth. For this and other outstanding offers on all sorts of sports, visit TalksportBet.com. Suited and booted broadcaster, bring it on bookie. Max benefit and terms and conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Don't skip on summer. Lock in your last-minute getaway with a TUI holiday deal. Holiday? Here we come. Family fun? Or just relaxing in the sun? Whatever you're after, find a great TUI deal for you. Book today. We'll see you by the pool. TUI. Live happy. ATOL and ABTA protected. Booking T's and C's apply. See website for details.
Sports betting. It's important to cool off and play safe. Set deposit limits to control your spending. Set timeouts when you need a break. And set reality checks to know how long you've been playing. Showtime ain't always go time. Stay safe, players, at BetMGM.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
Listeners, we interrupt the airwaves to share an incredible discovery. The reason why Britain hasn't been so great of late is because the country hasn't been eating enough Weetabix. We must get to work in rebuilding Great Britain, Bix by Bix. By delivering Weetabix to whoever plans the traffic diversions, to delivery drivers who can't seem to find your house, and people who don't stack the dishwasher properly. To Britain, we must say, have you had your Weetabix?
The McSpicy Frank's Red Hot is back. It's the McSpicy, but hotter. With 100% chicken breast fillet, melty cheese, fiery jalapenos, and the irresistible Frank's Red Hot mayo. Make it hot. Available until the 17th of June. Served from 11 a.m. Participating restaurants only. Subject to availability.
Tally-ho, it's time for top hats, tails and tip-top racing. It's Royal Ascot this week and Talksport Bet is offering our best odds guarantee. Place a bet on the day between 9 a.m. and the start of the race on any horse and we'll pay out the starting price on winners if it was greater than when the race began. And that's straight from the horse's mouth. For this and other outstanding offers on all sorts of sports, visit TalksportBet.com. Suited and booted broadcaster, bring it on bookie. Max benefit and terms and conditions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
FIFA Club World Cup kickoff on Talksport, presented by DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com to watch every game live and for free.
Here goes from Georgia to California.
The FIFA Club World Cup
live on Talksport.
LAFC fans wearing shirts saying Los Angeles versus the world tonight. Well, so far, the world is winning. Pedro Neto slamming home after some lovely footwork and also a great through ball from his centre-forward Nicholas Jackson. It means Chelsea have the advantage at the break in their first Group D game at the Club World Cup, live and exclusive on TalkSport. Noni Madueke also forcing a save from Hugo Lloris. Cole Palmer is finding his range. He saw a shot from distance deflected just onto the roof of the net, while their opponents, Chelsea, they haven't managed anything at all by way of a goal threat. So at this point, things should probably stay the same, or at least Chelsea building on it. Second 45 minutes on the way here on TalkSport very, very shortly. In the meantime, let's get the halftime odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Get money back as a free bet up to £10 if one leg of your Football 5 Plus acca lets you down. Pre-match straight line accas only. Odds are 3-1 or greater. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So Chelsea lead LAFC 1-0, and Chelsea are 9-1 on to win this game. So you might want to have a look at the draw. That's 6-1. LA to come from behind and win the game, 22-1. For Noni Madueke to score at any time, that's 4-1. Or for Cole Palmer to get on the score sheet is 11-4. Those are the latest odds with Ladbrokes. It's 18 plus. BeGambleAway.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. Supercharge your odds with our Odds Boost button. Selected markets applies to first £50 of stake. Terms apply. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
A rose, a shamrock, a thistle, a dragon.
George North scores the try! The Lions go into the lead! Welcome to British and Irish Lions rugby. What a score!
Across 4 nations, 4 rivals united, the best of the best, so rarely sighted.
It's my honour as tour manager
to announce the touring squad
who have been chosen to represent
British and Irish Lions Tour.
A tradition of old, but as popular as ever.
Heading down under on this historic endeavour.
The Lions win the second test.
Badge is iconic.
The legacy unmatched.
Who are the players that will be forever attached?
Beats 1, beats 2, gets the overlap and gets the ball to Sean O'Brien for one of the greatest tries ever scored.
The chance to be legends of this sport.
And those wearing the red of the British and Irish Lions raise their arms in celebration. They have won the series.
And remembered as the 2025
British and Irish Lions cohort.
Yes, it is Lions Week. The first warm-up match gets underway this Friday night in Dublin. The Lions taking on Argentina, and we will have it live here on TalkSport. Before that, we're going to have a big preview show for you on kickoff on Thursday night from 8 p.m. I'll be alongside Topsy Ojo, the former England winger, and we'll be joined by a host of guests ahead of the tour of Australia this summer, which will all be exclusively live here on TalkSport. Loads of extra material, interviews, and of course, all the games live for you in that 3-match test series. As ever, it should be one for the history books, so make sure you're with us across the TalkSport network. We also, of course, are bringing you exclusively live action, as we are tonight, of the Club World Cup. That continues on Wednesday night, 5 o'clock kickoff, as Manchester City begin their campaign against Wydad Casablanca. Commentary from Ian Danter alongside former England defender Alvin Martin. After that, on TalkSport 2, we'll have the Under-21 European Championship, England against Germany. 8 p.m. kickoff. England really need a positive performance after that kind of lackluster draw at last time out. Thursday night on TalkSport 2, Inter Miami and Lionel Messi will take on Porto at the Club World Cup. And on Friday night, Chelsea are back in action for a 7 p.m. kickoff against Flamengo at the Club World Cup. So plenty of action for us to look forward to across the TalkSport network in our big summer of sport. Let's head back to Scott Minto, Chelsea FA Cup winner, and Joe Shannon as the second half is approaching. Chelsea leading LAFC by 1-0. I wonder what Enzo Maresca is thinking about how to manage this second half. Will he want to go out there, get this second goal early, see the tempo go up another few levels once again, or will he say more of the same? Keep doing what you're doing, don't put too much pressure on yourselves physically, and you will get that second goal. It will come.
Yeah, look, I think he'll want to try and play at a high intensity and really get that second goal quite early, because 2-0 is such a difference, isn't it? Some people say it's a difficult scoreline. Well, give me 2-0 any day of the week, to be honest with you. But I think he will say, come on, let's give 15 minutes for 3 or 4 of the players, give it your all, try and get that second goal, and then I will make substitutions. You made a really good point about how to win a tournament and the style of Enzo Maresca and Chelsea. I'm not saying that Chelsea will go on and win it. I'd love to see them absolutely do it, but I don't think they're quite good enough to do it. But the style is very important, and you have to manage players throughout each particular game as well. So, yeah, give it your all for 15-20 minutes. Hopefully you get that second, maybe even the third. and then I wouldn't be surprised if changes come along then.
And it's one that hopefully the second half England fans can at least look forward to, because it's a big step to see a young English striker playing for one of the big clubs, but we'll have that in Liam Delap during this season, and he could well make his debut from the bench during this second period in Atlanta, his first appearance in a Chelsea shirt. We'll wait to see if Enzo Maresca makes that change or if he makes any others at all at the break. Let's head over for the second half for Chelsea FA Cup winner Scott Minto, who's alongside Joe Shannon.
Well, he's made not one but two half-time substitutions. Off go Reece James and Romeo Lavia. On come Malo Gusto and Enzo Fernandez, who takes the captain's armband.
I don't know what sort of physical state Romeo Lavia is in, so maybe I can see that one. Again, Hugh made a really good point about maybe Reece James being on a yellow card, but we know that Malo Gusto, the last time he played for Chelsea, he found it very, very difficult. I personally would have liked to have seen Reece James stay on the pitch for another 15-20 minutes. Again, I think maybe it's almost a sports science decision of both those players who have certainly struggled a lot over the last year or two. So yeah, he's certainly thinking of that, but I'd be more comfortable with Chelsea getting to a second goal first.
Is Olivier Giroud getting ready to come on? He's got rid of the bib that the substitutes would traditionally wear, of course, but he's not got his shirt. I wonder, are Los Angeles preparing for a half-time change? Confirmation of the Chelsea team for the second half before we get back underway anyway. There's Sanchez in goal, Gusto, Tosin, Colwill and Cucurella, Caicedo and Fernandez, Madueke, Palmer and Neto, the goal scorer, behind Jackson up front, Liam Delap among the subs. And we're still waiting to see whether LAFC are going to make a change. The referee's looking across towards the benches. Cole Palmer looks frustrated, as do a couple of his Chelsea colleagues. It's been a strange feel and atmosphere to this game. The late kick-off because of all the pre-match stuff, and then vast numbers of empty seats. Organisationally, this does not feel like a top-level tournament.
No, and, we'll have to wait and see. Everyone remembers the latter end of it rather than the start. But
sure.
We're standing around here waiting to see if
he's not got his shirt, Olivier Giroud. He's not even
got his shirt on. I mean, you had 15 minutes to make the decision as to whether you want to make a substitution or not. It might be one of those, his experience, he's a very intelligent guy. It might be one of those where the footballer's left his shirt inside the dressing room and someone's getting it for him, but come on, let's make the decision now.
Steve Cherundolo, the head coach who's actually leaving Los Angeles at the end of the 2025 season to go back to Germany with his family, Germany where he spent his entire professional career as a player, looks equally bemused as to what's going on. Enzo Maresca's just leaning back in his leather chair in front of the dugout, and this is a farcical delay, really, to the start of the second half.
Well, we started later yesterday, didn't we? But we might be finishing
now,
later this evening. This is ridiculous. Levi Colwill, Noni Madueke have all gone up to the referee and say, what is going on here? The referee's got to say, look, we're going to start the game now. It's your fault for not getting it right. Let me know when the ball goes out of play. I'll bring someone on. But this is amateurish, and just on Enzo Maresca's decision, I definitely think it's an absolute sports science point of view. Let's make sure that we look after Reece James and Romeo Lavia, not necessarily in any way that Reece James has been under pressure, and I actually don't even think it was the yellow card either.
And finally, we've got Olivier Giroud's shirt being brought to the touchline by one of the substitute goalkeepers, and he's smiling. And now Olivier Giroud, we think, will come on to face his old club Chelsea for the second half. 38 years of age, 3 seasons he spent at Chelsea, won the Europa League, the FA Cup and the Champions League in his second season of football in the United States. And Olivier Giroud is on for the second half, which finally is off and underway. Chelsea 1, Los Angeles FC 0. We thought we'd never get this far live on Talksport, but the game resumes. Chelsea playing from right to left in this second half in royal blue with white socks, and Giroud putting the pressure on straight away as Chelsea clear the ball upfield towards the halfway line. LAFC from left to right, all in white with black socks. Nicholas Jackson has shuffled the ball square to Cole Palmer, out to the right-hand side, and Pedro Neto on the attack straight away, the goal scorer. Back to Palmer, 25 yards out. Caicedo with the attempt at a 1-2. but he has overhit the pass, way too much weight on it, and it has gone behind for a goal kick to Los Angeles.
Well, it felt like cheering as if Chelsea had scored then once we kicked off, but finally we have done that. And what I would say is Olivier Giroud, and I think Chelsea fans appreciate it. I don't think he was quite appreciated from outside of Chelsea, what he did. Very, very good player, very clever player, and it is going to be interesting. He's not going to be bullied in the way that Ebobisse was by Tosin. Yes, of course, he's 38 years of age, not as athletic as he used to be. Perhaps he was never overly athletic, but certainly a very clever player and will use his strength well.
Extraordinary technician Olivier Giroud. Palmer's given the ball away for Chelsea. It's cleared away by the left back, Hollingshead for LAFC. 90 seconds into the second half. You are listening to Talksport. Chelsea at the Club World Cup in the United States at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, and they are 1-0 up against Los Angeles FC in front of a very sparse crowd here. And the NA team for the second half: Lloris in goal, Palencia, Long, Segura and Hollingshead, Tillman, Jesus and Delgado, Bouanga and Martinez either side of Giroud, who has replaced Ebobisse at half-time. Botafogo 2, Seattle Sounders 1. A full-time score from earlier in Group B. That's the group that PSG and Atletico Madrid are in. At 11 o'clock in Group C, Boca Juniors will play one of Scott's former clubs, Benfica.
Go on, Benfica.
Goal will for Chelsea.
Forza Benfica.
And now Gusto over the halfway line with a quick ball to Palmer, back to Malo Gusto, and Cucurella in that inverted position in front of the back three. Hasn't really needed to track back to form a four over the course of the game so far, Cucurella.
And you know what? It's going to be him rather than Malo Gusto doing it. He did a job on Anthony in the Europa Conference League final, and yet it was Malo Gusto who was being asked to be that inverted midfield, and it didn't work for him at all. He doesn't feel comfortable coming into midfield. It will certainly be Cucurella doing that today.
And Chelsea's next game on Friday night against Flamengo is live over on Talksport 2. Manchester City's Club World Cup campaign underway on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, also on Talksport 2. And that game will be followed on Talksport 2 by Real Madrid against Al Hilal. At the same time on Talksport, Wednesday night at 8, we'll have England's under-21s against Germany in a crucial group game at the European Championships. Best way to be across all of the action, as always, is to download our free app. Easy to download, and then you can have access to all of our stations across the network and watch live shows as well. Palencia, the right back for LA. Back to the halfway line now, where Tillman is standing. Started his senior career at Bayern Munich in their reserve team. Caicedo makes not one but two challenges in the middle of midfield. The ball is spun high up into the air. Martinez tries to gather it, but the ball is won back by Cucurella. Coming up to 4:15 in the afternoon local time in Georgia. Noni Madueke down the left for Chelsea. Infield pass to Jackson, back towards Madueke on the edge of the penalty area. Couldn't quite get it under control. A good work by the Los Angeles captain Aaron Long to smuggle it clear, and a good piece of reading the game by Malo Gusto on halfway to intercept for Chelsea. And he set Pedro Neto away. He's darted beyond the fullback Hollingshead and pulls it back towards Jackson, who got a touch on it under pressure from the defender, and he's poked it miles wide in the end. Lovely work by Pedro Neto in behind. Pullback was the right idea, but Chelsea at the moment unable to add to their 1-0 lead.
No, but again, wanted to see Pedro Neto just get a little bit more involved in the game. Yes, he's got the only goal so far, but I do think Noni Madueke's perhaps been a little bit more dangerous going forward. And that's what he can do, and he looks up, he cuts the ball back, and it was actually good defending, reading the situation. There were two LA defenders there. And he just tried to nick the ball off the defender, and he ended up going for a goal kick.
Let's just remind you of the rest of the Chelsea subs, plenty of them. Achiampong, Anselmino, Badiashile, Chalobah, Delap, who we may well see, Dewsbury Hall, George, Guiu, Jorgensen, Esugo, Andre Santos and Kunku and Sarr. So we might see some fresh faces in the Chelsea side tonight. Chelsea give it away through Malo Gusto in their blue shirts, playing from right to left. Now the ball is at the feet of Tillman for LA. Square to Martinez, right edge of the penalty area. Hits a curling shot that takes a deflection and loops just wide. It hits Giroud on its way through to goal. He might have been in an offside position, But that really had Sanchez scrambling, and it's a reminder for Chelsea, 5.5 minutes into the second half on Talksport, that the 1-0 lead in any game is a slender one.
Absolutely, and it's a reminder of the goal against Real Betis in the final as well, where Malo Gusto gave the ball away and has come across. Got away with that one.
Martinez raiding down the inside right. He looks live. He's into the penalty area, and then he gets his finish all wrong in front of the Los Angeles fans behind the goal to the right-hand side. Yes, the angle was against him. Nifty, quick feet in the build-up from Martinez. He skinned Cucurella there, but the finish was a really poor one.
But you know what? And you're absolutely right, he did go past him, but Cucurella didn't allow him to come inside on his left foot, where Pedro Neto did that on in the first half and scored. Yes, he went past Cucurella, but still, by the time he'd actually got to have the shot, it was on his wrong foot, and the angle was really tight, and he shot wide. So, Gary Neville did a thing some time ago about drop the ego, and it's absolutely right. From a fullback's point of view, you don't want any winger to go past you, but actually, what's the lesser of the evils? The lesser is allow him to go outside on his right foot, and in the end that happened there. So it's actually half decent defending from Cucurella.
Well, Scott Minto, been there and done it before at left back in a Chelsea shirt.
That's what I used to say when all the wingers went past me.
Here is Palmer for Chelsea, just inside the LA half, but he's turned away from Delgado, leaving him trailing in his wake. Flicked it wide to Pedro Neto, who crosses first time, headed away, drops down to Cucurella, quick ball to Madueke, left corner of the area, dinks in the delivery, headed away by Segura at the heart of the LA defence, and cleared only as far as Levi Colwill, who's kept the ball in place somehow, right on the left touchline. He's reached the dead ball line now, and the centre half has done brilliantly to win a corner of Palencia as Chelsea look for the cushion of a second goal.
It was like a marauding left winger there, wasn't he, Levi Colwill? Did really well, won the corner. And I'm sure he'll be hoping that the ball finds him in the box as well. And just the reason why I said I wouldn't make any substitutions, and I maybe understand the Lavia one, because again, from a physical point of view, really got to wrap him in cotton wool, but Reece James being in the side just gives so much confidence to everybody defensively, and LA have already had a couple of chances in the second half.
The roof closed here in Atlanta, but it's still very hot and humid. Corners taken short for Chelsea, who are 1-0 up. Palmer to Enzo Fernandez, back out wide left to Neto. Left corner of the penalty area to whip in a right-footed reverse ball, and the header somehow is wide from Jackson. Lloris got something on it, seemed to be going the wrong way, the goalkeeper, but it's deflected behind for a Chelsea corner, and they were inches away from making it two. Has it actually hit the defender? I think it has.
Well, I think Lloris was beaten. I'm not quite sure he would have saved it. Brilliant defending in the end, just dropping off and getting on the line. Good header from Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea got to get that second goal while they're on top.
It hit Tillman. Fourth corner for Chelsea. 1-0 up at the Club World Cup in their first group game. Chelsea, who won the 2021 edition of this competition that was held in 2022 because of COVID. Here's Palmer inside left for Chelsea, number 10, whips in the cross. That's a lovely ball. Nobody can get the touch. What a cross from Palmer. Vintage stuff. And it drifted along the edge of the 6-yard line. It was asking to be tucked in, but it has gone behind.
What an amazing ball from Cole Palmer. What a fantastic in-swing, and keeper can't get it, defenders can't get it. Someone read it. Simple header either at the near or at the far post. Just a world-class ball.
Well, Chelsea should have added to their lead. There are quite a few Chelsea fans here at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium today. Big supporter base in the US. Martinez for LAFC can't wriggle his way through this time, and Robert Sanchez, who still hasn't had a serious save to make the goalkeeper all in green, is able to collect. They are making quite a lot of noise behind the goal that Sanchez and his colleagues are defending in the second half. The LA supporters, in fact, they've been going pretty much non-stop since kickoff, but it is Chelsea who, not unexpectedly, have been much the better team. The Sports Bar will take your calls, whatever the result, on 03717 223344. Once we're done, that's the number to speak to. Jason Cundy and Perry Groves, your Sports Bar team tonight on Talksport. Igor Jesus square to Tillman, who was the man who got the block in from that Jackson header. And now Segura, the centre half, out to the left back position, and Ryan Hollingshead He feeds Igor Jesus, the Brazilian, again, and he scooped it over halfway. That wasn't a bad ball, headed away by a retreating toss-in for Chelsea. Tillman's got it back on the halfway line. He's angled it down the left, and a first real sighter in the second half, the danger man Buanga, but he's blocked off by Gusto in a one-on-one, and now Gusto has surged forward at the opposite end of the field on the counter. Lovely way to pass down the middle to find him, but then he couldn't quite get the ball right to Noni Madueke. That was overhit, and Hugo Lloris is out to claim. And LA are on the counter, over the top towards Buanga. He's got the wrong side of the defender. He's in! And Sanchez has made the save. Well, Pedro Neto was left tracking back there, and Buanga shrugged him aside, and the low effort turned away by the foot of Sanchez. Stays 1-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, Malo Gusto actually did really good play, and that's where he's best, just bombing on down the right, not coming inside. But it has left a hole that Pedro Neto tried to fill in. And he used his strength, Buanga, up against Pedro Neto. He's no right back. He's a very good player, but no right back. And that's a very good save, very important save from Robert Sanchez. And that's what I've been talking about the whole time. Chelsea only 1-0. They only need one chance to bring it back to 1-1, and it'll be difficult to break down.
Pedro Neto surging forward at the attacking third this time. Cole Palmer has turned Hollingshead inside out. Low cross cleared away at the near post by Segura, though. Chelsea just lacking that finishing touch as they go in search of the second goal that would surely seal it for them, even when we haven't quite reached the hour mark yet. LAFC have certainly shown some battling qualities. They've been on the back foot for most of it, but Chelsea haven't killed them off just yet. You're listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport, presented by DAZN. Sign up now at dazn.com to watch every game live and for free. Lots of Club World Cup action across the Talksport network over the next few weeks. The under-21 Euros as well, and the Women's Euros from Switzerland, with the Lionesses hoping to retain their Euros crown, and every England women's game will be live on Talksport from inside the stadiums in Switzerland. Now Cucurella has gone down off the ball, holding his face, and the referee's got his yellow card out, and there is a booking for David Martinez, who came on as a substitute in the first half. And clearly there's been a tangle off the ball with Marc Cucurella, who's still to get up.
Well, I need to have a look at this. I didn't see it first time, but he can make the most of things, Marc Cucurella. And from the angle we've seen, it's not a good angle. I think he's done exactly the same there. They've both sort of gone into each other. I mean, it's a horrible run from a fullback's point of view when he's coming from out to in, and you've got to time it. Do I go with him? Do I stay, hold the line? Do I try and block him off? And that's what he's trying to do. Martinez has then pushed him, and I do think Cucurella has made the most of it. And Martinez has got a yellow card.
Enzo Maresca standing on the edge of his technical area in his Chelsea club tracksuit. Martinez has looked quite a lively presence for Los Angeles coming forward in this second half, but they have only had that one effort on target, and it came off the boot of Buanga. Good save by Sanchez. Chelsea 1, LAFC 0. And I think because of the lack of a crowd, vast numbers of empty seats, it is a big stadium, 75,000, but I mean, it's maybe a quarter full. It does have the feel of a high-intensity exhibition game, really, more than a seriously competitive football tournament.
Well, in terms of atmosphere, perhaps even may take out the words high intensity.
Yeah.
But
yeah, in terms of atmosphere, definitely.
Yeah. But you know, the players have to be professional. This is it. This is the group stage. You have to treat it like, you know, it's a World Cup game. It's a World Club Cup game. Win your first match. Be professional. Do what you need to do. Get better as the tournament goes on. Keep yourselves fresh. But all worry about the here and now. Worry about the tonight. What did you seen in the second half? You know, 2 or 3 times that LA have created some chances. Just need to be careful.
Here they come, LA, with Giroud, who's laid it off away from goal, and Caicedo was there to make the interception for Chelsea. Conference League winners and 4th place in the Premier League. They'll be back at Europe's top table, of course, next season in the Champions League. And the first club in history, Chelsea, to win each of the 5 major European trophies.
Yeah, look, I do understand. I'm sure it is from a physical point of view, the substitutions, but
yeah,
you know, LA have looked better in the second half than they have in the first, haven't they? They've created chances already. You can see Chelsea have only created one, and that wasn't on target. LA have created 3 and 1 on target. So from attacking point of view, the stats suggest LA have been better in the second half.
But they are, Lavia and James, 2 of Chelsea's most injury-prone players, as we know.
So I do get it.
These are difficult, energy-sapping conditions with the heat, potentially. Palmer looking to raid down the right for Chelsea, nudges infield to Jackson, back to Palmer on the angle, twisting and turning and shooting, and blocked by a sliding Hollingshead. He had the footwork there, Cole Palmer, to dazzle the entire Los Angeles defence, it felt like, and he jinked away from Hollingshead, who, in fairness, got back well at the last moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, watching him now, I've almost twisted my back with Cole Palmer. Honestly, brilliant skill. He looks like he's not quick, but he clearly must be, but just his low centre of gravity, and yet he's tall. The way he can twist and turn with that wand of a left foot is such a beauty to watch, and the way he runs with the ball, and very nearly got that shot in. Would have been a heck of a goal.
Over an hour gone now, corner for Chelsea. 1-0 to the good. 5th corner of the game so far. Lots of Chelsea fans behind that goal are now on their feet. Enzo Fernandez with an out-swinging delivery, flicked on by Tosin, all the way to the back post. Malo Gusto is there to curl it across, deep towards Tosin again with a looping header, and this time it's plucked out of the air by Hugo Lloris. Barely call it a save, it's a simple take. As Tosin is denied. LA tried to build from the back.
Yeah, it wasn't the best of crosses from Malo Gusto. He's just sort of dinked it to the far post. Tosin did well just to get there, and in the end it was a simple save.
We are going to see Liam Delap make his Chelsea debut any moment now. Their new number 9 is stripped and ready to go. As Cucurella is fouled on halfway again by Martinez, and that's quite a spicy tussle between those two at the moment.
Yeah, it's not like Cucurella to make the most of it. He doesn't do that.
Well, he's back on the ball now. He's back on his feet, would you believe?
He makes it work. Well, he doesn't make it worse, but his hair makes it worse, isn't he? He's sort of flopping around as he goes down. Obviously a little scream.
Good reverse ball by Neto into the path of Palmer, who's driving forward up to the right-hand edge of the box, and again Hollingshead gets back well to deal with the threat just, and Segura prevents the corner. He's knocked it out of play for a throw, and here is the moment that Chelsea fans have been waiting for ever since he signed for the club. Liam Delap, their brand new number 9, a terrific prospect and a man who knows Enzo Maresca well, having worked with him at Manchester City. He has been given the number 9 shirt in the royal blue of Chelsea, and it will be fascinating to see how his Stamford Bridge career unfolds. This the first of, no doubt, many appearances for Liam Delap. He is on for his Chelsea debut, and he'll replace Nicholas Jackson as part of a double change with Tyrick George, who had a really impressive breakthrough campaign last season, replacing Noni Madueke. This is an exciting Chelsea team with lots of attacking talent.
Yeah, look, Tyrick George, I think you're absolutely right, a really good breakthrough season. You've still got to use him sparingly, coming on every now and again, even next season, but here he is, Liam Delap. Let's see how he's got 30 minutes. Knowing him, he'll probably push over a few players, he'll run past a few, and hopefully he'll score as well. We always enjoy watching him.
He is an imposing figure, isn't he, physically, as well as obviously a terrific technician and a player of great quality. Socks rolled halfway down his shins, first touch of the ball in a Chelsea shirt as he looked to turn with his back to goal. He had it whipped off his toes by Segura, then almost ran through the middle of the defender Long, shoved him over, and the referee points straight away to give a free kick to Los Angeles. But they are very excited at the prospect of what Liam Delap can do in a Chelsea shirt. He got 12 in the Premier League at Ipswich last season, and you can see already, seconds after coming on, he wants to get straight into the thick of the action.
I mean, Chelsea fans are going to absolutely love watching him. He is all action. And as I say, he's already pushed someone over once. Wouldn't be surprised if he does score at least one in his remaining side.
LA on the attack with Martinez, infield from the right with a square ball to the left-hand side, touched on by Delgado to Boanga. Corner of the penalty area, tries a low cross, it's blocked by Malo Gusto. 20 minutes into the second half, and it feels like, in some ways, the way that the game has gone, that Chelsea have got a greater lead than they actually have. It isn't too comfortable just yet, but They are wary at only 1-0 in front. Tyreek George has plucked the ball out of the air, but he's given it away. Martinez with a cross towards Giroud, only half cleared by Colwill. Caicedo flicks the ball further away from danger, and it's poked forward by Enzo Fernandez, but now Tillman has won it back for LA. That's not a good ball down the middle, steered away first time on the volley by Tosin.
Yeah, Enzo Fernandez hasn't really got in the game yet. Romeo Lavia had much more control of it alongside Moises Caicedo. That's why LA are quite happy going forward.
Palmer tearing down the right again and infield onto his left foot, square to Enzo Fernandez on the edge of the D. Thought about the shot, he's angled it to the left, and George, who's one-on-one with the defender, back to Enzo Fernandez, curler from the edge of the box, and that's charged down. Sheer weight of numbers helping out LAFC there as we go into the final quarter of the game. Live on Talksport, and Chelsea heading for all 3 points in their first group game at this year's Club World Cup. The referee stopped the game again for a foul by Bouanga, but it's becoming a little more tense than maybe some would have expected it to be, and actually it's intriguingly poised here because you get the sense, Scott, that LA feel maybe there is a chance for them here.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I was saying about with Lavia and Caicedo in midfield. Chelsea had control of the tempo. It's exactly what Maresca wants. Enzo Fernandez has come on, and he's not really done anything with the ball as yet. We know how good a player he is, but also I don't think Chelsea have looked as solid defensively, as well organised with Lavia off the pitch as well.
And they've given it away, and Bouanga's darting down the middle. He's got Giroud ahead of him. Giroud was nearly clear, but what a great interception by Tosin, whose error it was originally, but he's won the ball back with great authority on the edge of the box, and he's managed to scramble it clear. LA have got a throw out on the right, the near side for them. Bouanga, looking increasingly threatening, has won another throw.
Yeah, and they're feeling more and more confident. You can see the body language. You can see they're thinking, actually, maybe we can get something out of this. Saying it just before half-time, then Chelsea get that second goal, then it's all over. Again, I understand the substitutions, but we've lost control of the game.
Palencia down the right for LA. He's held it up on the dead ball line, and he steers the pass back to the corner of the penalty area. Bouanga thought about a shot, blocked off by Caicedo. Typically diligent from Moises Caicedo. Tyreek George for Chelsea holds it up well. Fouled by Palencia. Not sure what Bouanga's complaining about, because it was clear as day. And a free kick to Chelsea in the left-back position. Are you excited to see what Tyreek George can offer in the season to come?
Yeah, I like him. I think he's done really well. It was a little bit unfair to put him as centre forward against Man U.
Liam Delap inside right channel. He's into the penalty area. He's beyond Segura. Tight angle, pulls it back. And Enzo Fernandez was there. But it's a brilliant bit of defending by the captain Long to get a touch on it and deflect the ball high over the top. Good play by Delap in the build-up.
Brilliant movement. Not once, not twice, but 3 times he's looked to go in behind. He's realised the ball wasn't ready. So then he's come back. Defenders then moving back and forward as well. He doesn't know what day it is. By the time he makes the run in behind, he's got the ball. He's gone round the defender. He's cut the ball back. And Enzo Fernandez actually is really unlucky. You're right. You're spot on. Great defending from Aaron Long there. Otherwise, that would have been 2-0 and game over.
Liam Delap is ready to prove that he is the man to play that central role for Chelsea. Corner's been taken short. 1-0 they lead. Still Chelsea. That first half goal from Pedro Neto. They'll be disappointed they haven't added to it, but they might do now. Palmer in the box, hammers it over. Lovely slide rule pass by Neto into his path, and he had a free shot, but left-footed, favoured left foot. That's gone miles over the top.
He's useless, isn't he? Honestly, Cole Palmer, world-class talent, already bordering on being a world-class player. On his left foot, you're thinking, go on, stick that in the corner there. Either corner, he almost had the choice. And in the end, he's just got under the ball. It's been better from Chelsea just in the last few minutes, though.
15 attempts on goal, only 5 on target, which maybe tells you what you need to know about the frustrations that I'm sure they and Enzo Maresca will have at not adding to the lead, at least not so far. 20 minutes of normal time to go in Atlanta, Georgia, and it is Chelsea 1 and Los Angeles 0 in the late afternoon.
Yeah, I'd still take confidence, even though it was a bad miss, especially for someone with the quality that he has, that they were able to open up LA in the way that they did. As I was saying 5 or so minutes ago, LA looked actually a lot more confident, feeling maybe they can go and get something. Chelsea have been better just in the last couple of minutes.
Caicedo driving right up the middle from the centre circle to the edge of the D, looked to feed Delap, who couldn't hold it up. Cucurella, though, slides in to win it back, and offside in the build-up, I think, against Delap, and LA get the free kick. Cucurella was ready to scream at the referee because it was a clean tackle, a well-timed tackle, but it is a free kick to Los Angeles. The sports bar comes next once we're done. Jason Cundy and Perry Groves taking your calls on 03717 223344. Delap towards the edge of the box, robbed the possession by Martinez. I wonder whether we'll see Delap from the start on Friday against Flamengo, live over on Talksport 2. LA on the break, down their left with Hollingshead, who has shown plenty of energy throughout the game. He's gone for a goal from a long way out, and it's a screamer that's only just over the top. That had Sanchez worried. Hollingshead, the fullback, an unlikely player to work his way into a shooting position, and it was swerving, but ultimately rising over the top.
Well, he's made a really good run. He's come inside Malagusto, but then no one else has engaged him. So he's able to just take his time, steady himself. I mean, it still would have been a heck of a strike for 25 yards out to beat Robert Sanchez, but you're right, he was scrambling a bit, wasn't he, Sanchez?
Here is Delap on the halfway line for Chelsea. Back to Cucurella. Slides the ball forward to Delap again, who's knocked it wide to Tyrick George. 1-0 to Chelsea. George on the outside left, taking on the defender Palencia, who stands up well to the challenge and smuggles it away. LAFC have certainly not wilted. They've looked a much more threatening outfit in this second half, and there's lots of space for Martinez to look square, but he didn't see Delgado out to his left-hand side. Chelsea win it back, and suddenly the pace has picked up and the game is quite stretched. 18 minutes to go, and Palmer close to the corner of the box. The referee stopped it because Caicedo's gone down. That's a concern for Chelsea, holding his left leg, and Enzo Maresca suddenly looks concerned as well.
We don't want him to come off. There's also Marco Correa, who looks like he's struggling with something. And this is not good. Two of Chelsea's three most consistent players, or best players in the previous season, going down. And I'm pretty sure that the manager would want to try and take these players off and rest them, but at 1-0, can't really afford to.
Caicedo limps up to his feet. And they're going to leave him on to try and run it off. Caicedo, who was involved in a challenge with Martinez on halfway, and then actually Cucurella immediately, after winning the ball back himself, slipped. And Cucurella not moving well either for Chelsea at the moment. This is a concerning moment for Enzo Maresca. And Chelsea will get the ball back because they had possession when the game was stopped in the right-wing position. And Caicedo and Cucurella both back up on their feet, and they don't need to leave the field. 16.5 minutes of normal time to go. Colwell in the centre circle. Chelsea 1, Los Angeles 0. And the ball spins back into Chelsea territory via a big ricochet, and Tosin is there to keep the ball. Colwell square to Tosin again. Forward now to Caicedo in the centre circle, and they'll keep an eye on him, of course, Chelsea. Doesn't look like he's got too many effects at the moment. Sanchez has clattered the ball down the Chelsea right. It's a good back header by Hollingshead to goalkeeper Lloris. Well, they should have wrapped it up by now, Chelsea, you feel. LA, are they going to create one last opportunity? The ball is on the halfway line for them with Martinez. He's played it backwards to Igor Jesus. He was caught in the build-up anyway. And there's going to be a yellow card out of the pocket of the referee for Cucurella. As once again, he goes head-to-head with Martinez.
Those two have been at it since Martinez has come on the pitch. I'm not quite sure it's a tackle that Cucurella needed to make, really. He's just got in. It's not a lot in it, really. I mean, Martinez has made the most of it.
Yeah, touched it.
I think he can say that Cucurella has made the most of his challenges as well. Exactly. Karma, they call it.
Yep. Both booked, both walking the tightrope.
I do like Cucurella, though. The way he affects games from left back, it's not an easy thing to do. You know, he can bomb on down the left, he can come into midfield, he can play almost as a 10.
Oh, a poor header straight to Delap on the edge of the area. He's trying to surge into the box. He might force his way through here. Good work by Tillman, tracking back to win it back, and then Delap has mistimed his challenge from behind. Tillman's gone to ground, and it's a free kick given by the referee. Lively start, though, for Liam Delap.
Well, you wouldn't expect anything else, would you? He's Liam Delap. It's the way he plays. I mean, look, he's sharp, he's quick without being lightning, and he's just tried to run one of the defenders, and the other one's come back. And in the end, he's made a foul that, again, he didn't really need to make. I think Enzo Maresca knows him well as a kid. He knows exactly how good he can be and his potential, but he'll also need to just curb that kind of that physicality when he's making fouls and doesn't need to.
Another former Manchester City player in his early 20s, just like Cole Palmer. Who knows what Delap's impact will be. Toss in right edge of the penalty area, his own box for Chelsea. Now Gusto in the right back spot, back to Tossin again. A strange dink straight out of play. Over ambitious, trying to chip it over the head of two LA players in the white shirts. LA have got it back. 1-0 down LA with 14 minutes left. They play the other team in the group, ES Tunis, in Nashville on Friday. They worked it wide to the near side, and the fullback Palencia forward down the right, back infield to Igor Jesus. I'm sure LA will take a lot from this game and maybe feel that they can be the team that finishes second in the group. That would probably be the target. Chelsea you'd expect to win the group and likely win it comfortably. Forward by Igor Jesus. That's a good angle ball. Down the right-hand side to Tillman. They're not comfortable now, Chelsea. Tillman to the dead ball line. He's chipped in the cross. Good header by Malo Gusto. Brilliant defending at the back post. Giroud, hands to his head. He was close there. But here's Bouanga in the area from the angle. Only half away. Martinez takes a deflection. Tillman is there. And it's turned wide by Bouanga at the far post. And I think the offside flag was up anyway, so his blushes are going to be spared. But it's a massive warning for Chelsea, who are fortunate that it's not 1-1.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Bouanga's had a chance. He could have shot, should have shot. And he was, I'm not sure he was offside.
He's on, I think.
Was it that first one then, when maybe he was offside? But Enzo Fernandez has switched off. Tillman went down in that sort of right-wing position. I like Enzo. He's a really good player. He hasn't quite been at it today. And Chelsea have lost control of midfield in this second half. And certainly, if we didn't know it already, Chelsea needs to be bang on this. They cannot really afford to draw this game. It would give LA such confidence, and the Flamengo game for Chelsea up next would be a massive one, wouldn't it?
Well, they still lead 1-0 Chelsea, but maybe a little too close for comfort. Certainly there for Enzo Maresca's team. LA have looked much more of a threat in the second half.
I mean, look, no one can deny, even the staunchest of LA fans, that Chelsea have been the better side, but all the while it's 1-0. Still very much in this game.
Tyler George has lost out in the left-back position for Chelsea. LA win it back half the pitch. Martinez with a swerving ball over the top that is collected by Sanchez inside the penalty area. Quick throw to Gusto, and now Palmer on halfway. You're listening to Talksport with the Sports Bar coming right after we are done here with Chelsea and Club World Cup action. Liam Delap crosses from the right. Enzo Fernandez is there. He's turned it home. It's a brilliant goal. It's an assist for Liam Delap on his debut, and the captain's there to wrap up the match from close range for Chelsea. Great strike play from Delap this time, down the right-hand side with a beautiful ball in, and Enzo Fernandez almost juggled it into the net from close range beyond Hugo Lloris, and that will seal Chelsea's victory here in their first game at this season's Club World Cup. It is Chelsea 2, Los Angeles 0.
Well, I'm sure that the academy at Manchester City have seen it before. Palmer to Delap. I mean, it's brilliant movement from Delap. And then it's an absolutely delightful cross. Just dinking it in, waiting for someone to come in. And we see it now, don't we? We saw it back in the day, the number 8 of Chelsea. He's making those late runs into the box. Well, Enzo Fernandez does that right now, and it's a really good composed finish, taking it down, just a few yards out, but it's all about the run and then the ball from Liam Delap.
Well, it's an assist for Jackson in the first half, an assist for Delap off the bench in the second, and he's already made an impact, Chelsea's new number 9. As LA make a change, off goes Igor Jesus, and on comes Frankie Amaya. That's a straight swap in midfield. But it is game over now with 10 minutes left. And Enzo Fernandez, who a great provider of goals for Chelsea over the course of the season, who is now on the score sheet. And I think Chelsea are going to make another change pretty shortly. But here's Boanga down the middle. Gusto missed the long pass. Boanga's clear. Saved by Sanchez. Tosin hacks it away. Boanga thought he was caught as he was about to shoot. But it's a golden opportunity that's gone begging for LA. Boanga now twice denied by Sanchez, and ultimately he sort of stumbled forward into the shot and didn't get enough power behind it. 2-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, Malagusta just got underneath it and Boanga was in. And instead of shooting, he's tried to cut inside Tosin, and he's done it, but it meant that Gusto was just able to get back. It was 50-50 whether it could have been a penalty and brought him down. As he stumbled, he's taken the shot, and the referee said, well, no, you had to go. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't say Chelsea deserve to concede, but LA will certainly be feeling they've had enough chances to score one.
Well, Boanga probably should have scored. The referee has stopped the game. Chelsea 2-0 up going into the final few minutes of normal time. And isn't it a fascinating and interesting conundrum for Maresca with two centre forwards, and there's still time for Delap to get on the score sheet, but both instrumental in both Chelsea goals. Jackson with a fantastic pass for the first, and Delap with an equally brilliant cross for the second.
Yeah, and I think it really doesn't matter who scores. I mean, you know, you speak to some strikers and they'll say, no, it really does. If they lose 5-1, they would...
Sure, you knew a few.
I knew a few. I'll not mention names right now. But you know, Nicholas Jackson, it was brilliant play and a brilliant assist for the first goal. And Liam Delap, I think he's more of a goal scorer. I think he is more one of those, no, I want to score. You know, win, lose or draw. But actually, it was just a delightful cross. What a wonderful ball.
Well, that is going to be one of the big talking points coming out of this game tonight. Which way does Maresca go in terms of that number 9 role?
He doesn't have to choose. He can just rotate. And that's the beauty of it. You know,
will they both be happy with that?
Well, you're playing for Chelsea FC. You know, you're not Didier Drogba, so
nope.
You've got to be able to deal with that. And when things aren't going quite well, the other one comes on. Swap. There's enough games with the
Champions
League and Premier League as well.
Domestic Cup.
Carabao Cup.
Well, standing ovations here for Cole Palmer and Moises Caicedo, who are going to go off. Christopher Nkunku takes the field, only scored twice in 2025, the Frenchman. And we are going to see a Chelsea debut for Dario Esugo, a Portuguese midfielder who has joined from Sporting for about £18 million. They initially did the deal in March, did Chelsea, when he was on loan at Las Palmas. And 20-year-old Esugo replaces Caicedo in the middle of midfield, and he's one of the new exciting talents that has been brought to Chelsea over the course of this summer. Sports Bar coming next. 03717 223344 to speak to Jason Cundy, former Chelsea defender, and Perry Groves, ex-Arsenal winger. So some minutes for Nkunku and Dario Esugo as well, Scott.
Yeah, look, I'd be surprised if Christopher Nkunku is still at Chelsea by the end of the transfer window, but I am intrigued to see Dario Esugo and how well he does.
Delap has held the ball up on the halfway line, and a fizzing pass crossfield from Enzo Fernandez, and Chelsea can feel relaxed now about their 2-0 lead with 5.5 minutes of normal time to go. Out on the inside right is Nkunku. Infield to Malo Gusto, and now a first touch in Chelsea colours for Esugo just inside the LA half. Haven't seen much of Olivier Giroud in the game since he came on for the start of the second period. Not really had any service at all, in fairness to him. Esugo with a sharp 10-yard ball to Cucurella, threads it down the middle towards Nkunku, but it was intercepted by Hollingshead, and now LA on the break. They go long down the inside right. Martinez is there. Bouanga's at the back post. Martinez nudges it towards the back post with the outside of his foot. Too much on it. Bouanga will keep it in play down the left wing. They've looked a threat, the forwards, in this second half. Bouanga gets to the dead ball line, but he's blocked off by the imperious Tosin. And that will be a goal kick to Chelsea, who are 2-0 up.
Brilliant defending from Tosin. Just brilliant defending. Again, you know, he's LA's most dangerous player. He wants to come inside. He's not allowing him to do that. And not only that, he's forcing him outside, and then he's just getting his body in between him and the ball. Brilliant defending. Levi Colwell did well just on the other side 30 seconds ago. The two centre-halves have been really good this evening.
Chelsea's first game since their European triumph in Wroclaw against Real Betis, winning the Conference League. Here is the substitute Amaya for LA, midway inside the Chelsea half. Chelsea forcing possession back to halfway, and Delap has won it back, and suddenly the break is on. 3 against 3. Tyreek George right down the middle, options left and right. George goes alone to the edge of the box, sets up Pedro Neto to dink in the cross, almost reaches Nkunku. Good defending by Palencia to head it away for a corner.
Again, brilliant play from Delap, wasn't it? The little flick in behind, he knew where Tyreek George was, and he didn't quite get it out of his feet. Really good run from Christopher Nkunku, and he should have been played in, and by the time Tyreek George went right instead of left, they just lost a bit of pace in that attack.
A double change coming up here for LA. They're going to take off Delgado and Tillman. On come Yoya Boa, who started his career at Manchester City, had several loans away from the Etihad but didn't make a senior appearance, and Marlon Santos, the Brazilian, the second player to come on. Straight into the action to defend a Chelsea corner, which Pedro Neto will take. Left-footed and out-swinging, and it's poor. Easy for Hugo Lloris to gather. And what's the referee saying here? Is he saying the ball had already bent out of play via the left boot of Pedro Neto? I think he is. So it'll be a goal kick to LA, who didn't really want that, as Lloris tried to start a quick attack. With 2.5 minutes plus added time remaining, with Manchester City, the other British club, of course, with interest at this tournament, underway against Wydad Casablanca on Wednesday evening. That's at 5 o'clock over on Talksport 2. It'll be followed by Real Madrid against Al Hilal, and on Talksport we'll bring you England against Germany. Oh, Chelsea won it back inside the penalty area, and they were nearly in there out of nothing. Asugo nearly setting up Liam Delap, but Lloris was there to gather, and LA are suddenly on the break at the other end. Yeboah, the substitute, wide to the right, and it's kept in play by Palencia in front of Marc Cucurella. Back now to Martinez, and Martinez to the halfway line. Well, that was almost a glimmer of an opportunity for Chelsea, and it would have been pulled back towards Delap, who might have had a snip at a first Chelsea goal.
Suga might have got his first Chelsea goal as well, and I don't know quite what he was trying to do. I think he should have gone for goal rather than try to pass to Liam Delap. In the end, he just put it into the hands of Hugo Lloris.
Quite entertaining, quite a busy final quarter of the game that it's turned into in the end. And Giroud has committed a foul. I think coming back into the midway points of the Chelsea half.
Sorry, Joe, I think it perhaps shows the defensive midfield mentality of somebody. I think if that was Delap in that situation, he would have tried to shoot and score himself.
Well, he certainly looked promising. Early days, of course, but the Chelsea fans will be excited by what they have seen and heard. And he's got a lot of potential, Liam Delap. Enzo Maresca, of course, said this week that he can be a future number 9 for England. No doubt about it.
While at the same time not being guaranteed a first team slot at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's got to earn the right. Absolutely right.
Tossing back to Sanchez. Chelsea from right to left. Cucurella, middle of his own half, into the last 40 seconds of normal time. And it's just like the game involving PSG yesterday. It's been a decent watch at times. And Chelsea have not been, obviously, 100% at their best. You wouldn't expect that. But they have done more than enough to get the job done, and it's going to be comfortable in the end, Scott Minto.
Yeah, I think so. You know, Enzo Maresca will be delighted with how it's gone. I think there's perhaps just a couple of times they've opened up defensively and looked a little bit vulnerable. But I think generally speaking, they've been by far and away the better side, been in control, could have scored more. And the forwards have done pretty well, both Jackson and Delap.
Giroud on the edge of the penalty area, looking to size up a shot against his old team. He's held it up on the corner of the penalty area and laid it back, and the effort is a rather tame one in the end. Marlon Santos back to Segura, who didn't really catch it right at all. Easy for Sanchez. 3 minutes of added time at the end of the game. Stay with us on Talksport. The Sports Bar's taking your calls next with Jason Cundy and Perry Groves. And Chelsea are back in action at the Club World Cup on Friday against Flamengo on Talksport 2. Chelsea will play their next 2 games in Philadelphia, which is where they're basing themselves for the tournament. Here is Augusto on the halfway line, and the ball is played back by Nkunku to the feet of Tosin, midway inside his own half. Nkunku again out on the Chelsea right. Couple of minutes to go, and the crowd, which was pretty sparse, is starting to thin out even more now. Enzo Fernandez towards the edge of the D. He's rolled it left to Tyreek George. Tyreek George scampers infield to the edge of the penalty area, but his pass infield is intercepted and cleared away, only as far as Neto out in the left wing position. Pedro Neto plays it back with the outside of his foot to Cucurella. Enzo Maresca's watching on, hands behind his back. Final few moments here. And Nkunku, 90 seconds left, out to Malo Gusto. LA have certainly put up a fight in the second half, but Chelsea ultimately have had too much for them.
Yeah, I think LA have done well in the second half and created a couple of chances, but Chelsea have been the better side. In terms of Liam Delap, I like what I've seen. Big, physical, strong, great movement, wonderful ball for the assist for the goal. This would be great to see him scoring in the last 70 seconds if he can.
A yellow card for Sergi Palencia, foul on the onrushing Pedro Neto, who was making that out-to-in run from the left wing position into a central area. 2-0 Chelsea. And there will be tougher tests likely to come as this competition goes on, but you certainly don't want to peak too early at a tournament. It's been solid from Chelsea.
Nobody wants to do that, Joe.
Forward by Tosin from the halfway line to Pedro Neto, great ball, and now Nkunku wriggling his way through towards the edge of the D, and he's robbed at the last moment by Hollingshead, who's had a good game in defence for LA. 30 seconds left, maybe a chance for a late consolation goal for the American team. Working his way down the left is the Nippy Bouanga, who goes down under the challenge of Gusto, and the referee says get up, get on with it inside the penalty area. Chelsea on the break, last chance for one last effort perhaps. Delap has broken into LA territory. He's played it wide to the right, and Neto accelerates into the centre, onto the left foot, and he's hit the woodwork. What an effort from Pedro Neto, and it's gone over the bar via the crossbar in the end, and that is the last action. And Chelsea's Club World Cup campaign is off to a winning start here in Georgia. Pedro Neto nearly adding a third and clinching goal. He scored the first after a terrific assist from Nicholas Jackson to set him up. And into the second half, Enzo Fernandez sealed all 3 points in their first group game for Chelsea. But he was set up by a beautiful ball on debut from Liam Delap, who has certainly given Enzo Maresca food for thought ahead of Chelsea's second game on Friday against Flamengo. Both Chelsea central strikers involved, both with assists, Neto and Fernandez doing the goal-scoring damage. And in the end, it was comfortable for Chelsea, who have beaten Los Angeles FC by 2-0.
Well, the Club World Cup is off to the right start for Chelsea. They didn't have things all their own way despite the clean sheet. Things for Enzo Maresca to improve on for sure if his side are going to go deep in this competition. But their feet are under the table. They looked at home at times in the heat of Atlanta on their way to a comfortable win. Chelsea obviously top Group D for now. LAFC dropped to the bottom. ES2 Nice and Flamengo will kick off at 2 a.m. the other game in that group. There's an 11 p.m. kickoff in the Club World Cup tonight between Boca Juniors and Benfica. You can watch both games on DAZN. Check out DAZN.com for all of the details. And Chelsea fans, you can have your say here on Talksport. What did you make of it? What did you make of the team, the lineup? Jackson starting, Delap on the bench. His performance when he came off the bench Give us a call, 03717 223344. Jason Cundy and Perry Groves will be with you shortly. Scott Minto, that is exactly what Enzo Maresca would have wanted in the opening match. A difficult opponent, particularly in the second half, making it tricky for Chelsea, but they came through.
Yeah, absolutely, Hugh. And, 2 goals, a clean sheet, first game won. Both centre forwards, although not getting on the score sheet, making their impact with the goals. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. He really will. Maybe just a couple of times in the second half they looked a little bit open, and I do think in terms of the control of the game they look better in the first half than the second. But Enzo Fernandez does what Enzo Fernandez does, what Frank Lampard used to do in that number 8 Chelsea shirt. He makes those late runs into the box and he's very composed. That kind of killed the game off. But up until then, you were never 100% sure, even though Chelsea deserved to win, that they would go on and do that. But ultimately, I think the manager will be absolutely delighted with that.
Liam Delap looked every part a Chelsea player on his debut. There was an assist for Jackson in the first half, an assist for him when he came on, the former Ipswich striker, in the second half. And it was just really a sign of things that may be to come for Delap in a Chelsea shirt.
Yeah, Joe asked the question a couple of times, who's going to sort of win the battle? It's fascinating if they, let's just say they do get to, the quarter-final, semi-final. He won't be able to rotate then. I wouldn't be surprised if Liam Delap does play in the next game, but he's going to have to make a decision. But Nicholas Jackson, I thought he did really well, made that fantastic assist, and at times, just dropped off, and almost the Harry Kane dropping off in that way. And he also gives the danger in behind. But Liam Delap, within 30 minutes, he only had 30 minutes, and yet he was an absolute pain for the LA defence. So in terms of pure impact, I thought it was a brilliant one for him, and the Chelsea fans will love watching him play in a Chelsea shirt.
There were enough warning signs, I think, just in that second half for Chelsea to know they will need to be better against Flamengo on Friday Night Live on Talksport 2. So, as I mentioned, Maresca happy, but some small details for them to work on defensively in particular.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I'm agreeing far too much of you tonight, Hugh. I don't like it.
It's the Club World Cup, isn't it? It's not throwing up enough jeopardy for us just yet, with 10-0 wins and all that. So don't worry, there'll be more disagreement towards the end of the tournament, Scott Minto.
I can carry on if you want.
I will deliver for you. Thank you very much indeed, Scott Minto and Joe Shannon, for commentary tonight. We've got much, much more still to come from both Scott in a second with Man of the Match and on the Talksport network in terms of the Club World Cup. Manchester City against Casablanca, 5 o'clock on Wednesday. That's live for you on Talksport 2 before England against Germany in the under-21s. Thursday night, we'll have Inter Miami against Porto, 8 p.m. kickoff on Talksport 2. And Friday night, Chelsea once again, 7 p.m. start for that one on Talksport 2 as they take on Flamengo. Okay, time for us now to pick our Man of the Match, all thanks to DAZN.
Man of the Match on TalkSport, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Not sure who you're going to pick here, Scott. Who have you gone for?
No, I'm not sure actually. I'm going to talk, decide as I go through it. Tosin, I thought, defended really well, gave their striker no chance whatsoever, and were very good in the first half. Marco Correa did what Marco Correa does. He makes an absolute pain of himself, and I love seeing him in a Chelsea shirt. I thought Romeo Lavia alongside Caicedo worked in that first half, and the 2 strikers did really well when they were playing, but I'm probably going to give it to Pedro Neto.
Yeah.
And it can be argued.
As you started going through it, I went, maybe it's Neto. Yeah, and there you go. We're agreeing again.
We are. We'll have to sort that one out. But look, I think scoring the opening goal is always very important. He nearly scored right at the very end as well. But I think there's about 5 or 6 really good performances there, individual performances, that you could argue for them. But I'm going to give it to Neto.
Scott Minto, thank you very much indeed. Pedro Neto, our Man of the Match with DAZN. You can watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up at DAZN.com.